Chapter 1524. The Last Battle 4. Of course it looked as if Li Aoqiong had seen a ghost. How could he have imagined, his pure as jade, saint-like woman, pure and spotless younger sister was actually laying on the broad street, stark naked, letting any passerby, rogue and bully to point at her. Just now he had spit out a thick spittle. Li Aoqiong's heart was lifted up by an inexhaustible amount of rage. If he was to vent his rage now, then he would definitely completely behead everyone at the scene. Eldest young master? The subordinate saw Li Aoqiong standing there, staring blankly and shuddering from head to toe. Each and every one of them looked at each other. What was going on? At this moment, Li Aoqiong's mind was completely empty. It was quite a while before he gradually returned to his senses. Whose family's miss is this? In broad daylight, lying stark naked on the broad street. What does she want to do? Who knows? Look at her body and appearance. Last night she must have battled very fiercely. This person gave a vulgar laughter. Are my eyes mistaken? There are words on that doo-doo. This person was nicely surprised. Let me look, the words on this doo-doo. This person stroked his chin, saying he wanted to look at the words. In fact, he really wanted to take the opportunity to lift up the doo-doo. Let everyone have a look at how beautiful of a face that such a delicate jade-like body belonged to. If they knew that the miss in front of their eyes whose jade-like body laid in disarray was the Jade Lake's fairy they had worshipped as a goddess before, maybe they would all go insane. Gold thread was used to embroider on the scarlet doo-doo. It was dazzling under the bright sunlight, giving off bright rays of light. Watching as this person's hand was about to touch Li Yaoyao's face. At this moment, Li Yaoyao's whole person was scared stupid. She simply didn't even dare to move. She was stiff from head to toe like the preoccupied elm tree. She was frantically crying in her heart, hating, feeling sick, but the her in reality didn't have an inch of clothing. Her body was a mess, with a countless number of people standing around looking at her. Recalling last night's, that extremely ugly and dirty face, Li Yaoyao really wanted to vomit. What to do? If the doo-doo was lifted up, everyone would see this face of hers. At this moment, Li Yaoyao wished she could rush against a stone and kill herself on the spot. Just at this moment a long arm reached out and lifted up that vulgar male who was approaching Li Yaoyao. With a toss in passing, it tossed that person heavily onto a roof far away. Soon after, that person tumbled to the ground. That person passed out from the pain. However, before he fainted, 3 shining words were engraved in his mind. Li Yaoyao. Li Aoqiong's face was taut like condensed frost. His expression was cold, ruthless and overcast. His arm moved and he had already taken off his outer robe. Li Aoqiong endured the rage and humiliation in his heart, and directly enveloped Li Yaoyao's body in that robe. At the same time he glowered until his eyes were round and ordered his subordinates. Don't obstruct public morals, take her away. At this moment, Li Aoqiong took on the role of a policeman. Then not going to look for eldest miss? This subordinate was still confused, actually daring to ask this now, based on an old script. Li Aoqiong swiped a glance at him. That gaze was extremely sharp, like an unsheathed cold sword shining with cold light. You dare to defy orders? Li Aoqiong lifted up this still confused subordinate by the sleeves. His appearance was malevolent like a ferocious beast that was about to act out violently. Everyone didn't understand why eldest young master's appearance would be ashen in a split second, or why his attitude would change so much in an instant. No, don't dare. That subordinate was simply scared stiff by Li Aoqiong's murderous gaze. He foolishly shook his head, then shook his head. Get lost. Li Aoqiong very fiercely and heavily tossed him to the ground. Chapter 1525. The Last Battle 5. In the end, he waved his large hand and directly wanted to bring Li Yaoyao away and leave. Because the night was long with lots of dreams. If some accident were to happen now, then the matter would not be good. But just at this critical moment, the gate, with a creak sound, opened. Dongfeng Xian was dressed in white, indifferently stood in front of the gate. Dongfeng Xian's face was refined, eyes often flashing with sinister light. His look was also feminine and soft, lacking Nangong Liuyun's robust domineering aura. Dongfeng Xian frowned, and walked towards Li Aoqiong, step by step. At this moment, Li Aoqiong's heart was very nervous and apprehensive. After his cultivation was wasted, Li Aoqiong's strength was crippled to the bottom. From that time, it was impossible for him to advance. And at this moment, Dong Fengxian gave off the pressure of a strong expert expressing his discontent. Li Aoqiong. Dong Fengxian stood with his hand at his back. If he wasn't Yao Yao's older brother, then he wouldn't have recalled this insignificant person's name. Yes. Li Aoqiong clenched his fist tightly, forcibly pressing down his rage. Her younger sister spent the night at Dong Fengxian's place and didn't return all night. This morning, he found her stark naked on the broad street in front of Dong Fengxian's gate. Whereas this person looked at him impatiently. An intense humiliating feeling made Li Aoqiong's heart ignite into a raging flame. But the formidable gap between ranks made him afraid to move. He could only lower his head and force the rage down. Yao Yao returned last night. Is she okay? Dong Fengxian's tone downplayed the matter as if talking about air. The pitiful Dong Fengxian. Last night he returned early. Unfortunately his speed was too fast. In a blink of an eye he entered the courtyard. He simply didn't notice Li Yao Yao lying there at the corner of the wall. At this moment, the hands at Li Aoqiong's side clenched into fists in an instant. What did Dong Fengxian mean? What the fuck is the meaning in his words? If Dong Fengxian saw Li Aoqiong's eyes right now, he would definitely discover the rage like a flourishing flame in his eyes. But Li Aoqiong was flexible, so he did his best to restrain that obvious anger. When he lifted his head, the rage in his eyes had disappeared. He stiffly nodded his head. She is okay. Maybe Yao Yao's matter had nothing to do with Dong Fengxian. Dong Fengxian's strength was so strong. In the younger generation, he was the only one on par with Nangong Luyan. Maybe his strength was even stronger. Jade Lake's Li family had already lost Nangong Luyan, this perfect son-in-law. They couldn't afford to lose Dong Fengxian. But when Li Aoqiong recalled Li Yao Yao, who was lying on the ground wrapped with his outer jacket, a slight chill immediately flashed through his heart. If Dong Fengxian was to see Li Yao Yao's appearance right now, then would Dong Fengxian still be Jade Lake's Li family's future son-in-law? Thinking up to here, Li Aoqiong's heart was somewhat panicked. What is that? Dong Fengxian's gaze swept across the ground. Although she was wrapped in the jacket, Dong Fengxian could clearly see the curvaceous shape of a woman. Figure wasn't bad, like his family's little Yaoers. Dong Fengxian stroked his chin, recalling the sweetness from last night. His eyes were very lecherous. Last night, he didn't enjoy himself to his heart's content. Wait until after the match to find a time. Thinking of this, Dong Fengxian stopped caring about who was that person lying on the ground. In a cold tone he told Li Aoqiong, "Tell Yao Yao to directly go to the battle arena." Finished speaking, Dong Fengxian directly returned to his courtyard. Fortunately, it was a false alarm. Until he watched Dong Fengxian enter his room, did Li Aoqiong finally slowly release a breath in relief. Chapter 1526. The Last Battle 7. Maybe Jade Lake's fairy's body really was like this. A lot of vulgar men rub their chins, full of interest, having a sexual fantasy in their minds. Southern Mountain. Su Luo woke up from sleep. The sunlight passed through the window and poured down in torrents. The entire room was bathed in sunlight. Su Luo lazily stretched her waist. Recalling the scene from last night, she couldn't help but smile and shake her head. In fact, the matter with the beggar last night. In fact, it was really necessary. First was to ruin Li Yao Yao's self-confidence. Let her live in the abyss of suffering. This way, Su Luo and Ziyan both felt they had gotten their revenge. Second, based on them going over last night, and according to Li Yao Yao's inclination, she certainly would tell on them to Dong Fengxian. But after the matter with the beggar, that night's matter had become the most painful nightmare to Li Yao Yao, so she wouldn't want to mention it. Therefore her, Ziyan and elder ancestor Mo's matter would be masked. Thus, Su Luo felt that although the matter with the beggar seemed somewhat cruel, but who told Li Yao Yao to bring trouble through her own actions? Who could she blame? It's not as if Ziyan and her deliberately planned it. Su Luo hadn't gotten up from bed when with a bang, the door was knocked open. She lifted her head, and it turned out to be Ziyan. So early in the morning to be so happy. Did you find some money? Su Luo unhurriedly tidied up her dress. while finding the time to glance at her. Ha ha ha, dying from laughter, insane from laughing. Ziyan held her belly and rolled around on Su Luo's bed. Little lunatic. Su Luo unhappily patted her head. Quickly speak, what happened to Li Yaoyao after last night? How is it that you can guess it's about her? Besides her, who else would you care so much about? Su Luo patted the chair. Come over, sit on the chair properly. Rolling on the bed makes you look like a little lunatic. As a result, Ziyan obediently went over and sat properly and told Su Luo what happened this morning in great detail. Can't be right. Su Luo was also shocked and her eyes opened wide. To lay there until morning and be encircled and watched by the masses? Yes, at that time, everyone present was male, at least over 100. Moreover, Dongfang Xian also stood there by chance. A pity that person is blind, simply didn't know that the person lying on the ground was his little Yaoer. Now Ziyan didn't even call him senior brother. Li Yaoyao really is too unlucky. Su Luo rubbed her nose. You just said the rumor had spread among the masses? Regarding that person being Li Yaoyao? But very quickly it was put out because no one believed it. Ziyan helplessly spread out her hands. Clearly, it was the fact, but the masses refused to believe it. Really made people feel helpless. If they believed it, then how interesting would that be? Su Luo rubbed her chin and sunk into deep contemplation. What are you thinking about? Ziyan saw Su Luo's eyes suddenly flash, a crafty expression flitting by, and immediately, she became excited. Every time Su Luo had that expression, it meant that someone was about to be out of luck. Now this victim was certainly Li Yaoyao. Su Luo leaned near Ziyan's ear and muttered something in a whisper. PFF. Ziyan immediately laughed out loud, unable to restrain her laughter. Really do it like this? Wouldn't it be too? At that time? Certainly. Yes, first, must spread out the bedsheet and prepare just in case. Su Luo calmly waved her hand. I'll hand over Li Yaoyao's matter for you to do. Okay. Ziyan seriously nodded. Can't be that every time. She makes a move and we passively defend. This time, let Li Yaoyao receive a move properly. Ziyan recalled Su Luo's instructions, and she was all smiles. Chapter 1527. The Last Battle. 8. Su Luo didn't have any mental burden to get out of bed. After freshening up, she walked out of the room. Today was Nangong Luyan and Dongfang Xian's match. It was a match everyone was looking forward to. Su Luo naturally must be absent. Strong fire colliding might be a great help for her cultivation. After last time's battle with Li Aochen, Su Luo's strength had already been promoted to the middle of 9th rank. Su Luo really wanted to be promoted all the way to the peak of 9th rank through this last battle. Because following the development of the situation, among the people present, only her strength was the weakest. The feeling of being at the bottom every day really wasn't wonderful. Is your injury really healed? On the way there, the two people sat inside the dragon-scaled horse carriage. Su Luo's arm was wrapped around his, and seriously asked. This time wasn't ordinary. Before she could even disregard Luo Haoming's battle. But this time, the opponent was Dongfang Xian. Su Luo had a premonition that Dongfang Xian was a lot more difficult to deal with than Luo Haoming. Because Dongfang Xian gave a person a gloomy and ruthless feeling. As if he was a viper in the dark, with a strange, cold and remote gaze. His mouth spitting out poisonous snake venom, making it impossible for people to guard against. Rest assured, I will marry you. Nangong Liuyun's pitch-black as ink eyes, under his thick curly eyelashes, shone like diamond. His eyes contained a gentle and warm smile, looking at Su Luo full of tenderness. Su Luo suddenly felt shy and patted his arm. Who's worried about this? Nangong Luyun smiled softly, his beautiful red lips hooked up, smiling in a demonically charming and alluring manner. Foolish girl, what are you worried about? You must believe in your man. Nangong Luyan rubbed her head. Although it was the most common movement, but when he did it, every movement gave off the aura of a king. Graceful and unhurried, making it hard for a person to resist. Got it. Su Luo knew he wouldn't change his mind on matters he was determined on. She could firmly tell him, if you can't beat him, then it doesn't matter. Even if everyone in the world prevents it, I will still be with you. So promise me you won't get to the point where both sides suffer severe injuries, okay? Su Luo unblinkingly looked at him. Her eyes were bright as the stars, with thick curly eyelashes. Her features were picturesque, appearance like the spring sunshine and morning dew, giving off a youthful vitality and flirtatious feeling. The two people's gazes met in midair. Nangong Luyin looked at this girl in front of his eyes that was so beautiful as to make him choke. He took a deep breath and shifted his gaze away. This girl really could take his life. Just now with a taut face she had seriously asked him. In that instant, despite the self-control he was most proud of, he almost lost control. He was itching to do her on the spot. Su Luo, at this time, was completely unaware of the two-faced thought of this man in front of her. She saw Nangong Luyin avoid her eyes and thought he did it because he didn't want to agree to her conditions. As a result, our Miss Su Luo became unhappy. Her white as jade finger touched Nangong Liuyun's beautiful sculpted face. She turned his face back to look at her face to face. Promise me, okay? Su Luo's gaze was serious and grave. But Nangong Liuyun's black eyes were filled with a deep and indistinct light. Their eyes met, not saying a word. Why won't you say anything? Su Luo's red lips pouted slightly and looked at Nangong Luyin, whose breathing had become deeper, with puzzlement. In the end Su Luo hadn't finished speaking when she found her waist was confined. The back of her head was also restricted. Afterwards, a deep shadow leaned over from above her. Su Luo's soft lips were firmly sucked on. Oh, Su Luo opened her eyes wide. Temporarily, she couldn't react. But Nangong Luyin simply didn't give her an opportunity to react. The hand that confined her slender waist lifted up Su Luo, immediately rolling her into his arms. Chapter 1528. The Last Battle. 9. During the wild kiss, Nangong Liuyun's body suddenly became rigid. Su Luo seemed to have sensed Nangong Liuyun's strangeness and wanted to push him away. But Nangong Liuyun's large, hot palm tightly held onto the back of her head, confining her firmly under his body, unmoving, and continuing to kiss her. But Nangong Liuyun's body became rigid. His tightly closed eyes shuddered slightly. His brows were even tighter. As if a long time passed, a long time. Dragon-scaled horse's carriage slowly stopped. Only now did Nangong Luyin unwillingly cup Su Luo's cheek and separate from her. Su Luo right now looked flirtatiously charming, carrying a thread of allure. She was already an otherworldly beauty. Now this appearance even made Nangong Luyin, who had astonishing self-control, almost lose it. But in the next second, Nangong Liuyun's hand was placed on his legs. From there, he could feel an intense pain, clearly telling him that matters were not good. He never expected the pain in his legs that hadn't come for a long time would burst out right now. What's wrong? Su Luo sensed the difference in Nangong Luyin, and asked in deep concern. What? The corner of Nangong Liuyun's mouth bloomed into a tender smile, as he, in a spoiling manner, looked at Su Luo. At this moment, Nangong Liuyun's jet black hair was scattered on his shoulders. It was only partially tied up by a white ribbon. His black hair under the light of the sun gave a brilliant luster, luminous and splendid. Just now, she actually saw a trace of pain in Nangong Liuyun's eyes. How was this possible? Su Luo patted her own head. She only felt that maybe her eyes had blurred, and it was an illusion. Su Luo smiled, sweetly wrapping around Nangong Liuyun's arm, and walked out of the dragon-scaled horse carriage with him. Once Nangong Luyin appeared, he was like a brilliant stone, gathering all the splendor. The crowd that roared and was noisy immediately became quiet. Everyone's gaze was all gathered on his body. Compared to those elder ancestors that had lived for who knows how long, Nangong Luyin was not the strongest. But without a doubt, he was the most popular person at the scene. Nangong Liuyun's body was tall, and stood there just like a magnificent and limitless god. The sunlight shined from his back, as if he was enveloped by a golden light, honorable, poised and rightfully imposing. Under everyone's eyes, Nangong Liuyun's pair of eyes was fixed. He only pulled Su Luo along and calmly, unhurriedly went to their seat. Is it too hot? After sitting down, Su Luo saw the faint sweat on Nangong Liuyun's forehead and smilingly asked, when did his body become like this from heat exhaustion? No. Nangong Luyun lifted a hand to grab her wrist, the corner of his mouth lifting into a light smile and putting her hand back. At this time, if Su Luo touched his skin, based on her senses, she could definitely find some clues. At that time, she would use her all to force him to give up this match. But getting the first 2 places was his promise to her. Nangong Liuyun's beautiful eyes were tranquil, handsome as a god as he leaned against the chair. He closed his eyes to rest. Seeing his expression, Su Luo had some suspicion and guessed about what was wrong with Nangong Luyun. He would never oppose her touch, but just now at that moment, he was clearly blocking her touch. Su Luo carefully looked at Nangong Luyun, who had his eyes closed. Right now his face was incomparably handsome. His lips were dark red, every corner of his face was clear and healthy. Even with his eyes closed, he gave off an imposing aura that would scare people, overwhelming people at a glance. Su Luo suddenly remembered. It couldn't be that the pain in his legs occurred again, right? But after some thought, she felt it wasn't right. The pain in Nangong Liuyun's leg would occur in the middle of the month. It had a regular pattern. Now it was the start of the month. It couldn't be occurring right now. Moreover, she had always been with Nangong Luyun these several months. The pain didn't seem to have recurred during these months. Chapter 1529, The Last Battle, 10. However, Su Luo never expected that Nangong Liuyun's luck would be so bad. To actually fall ill before such a critical competition, and facing such a strong opponent. It's time. On the stage, Dong Fengxian looked at Nangong Luyun with provocation. The corner of Nangong Liuyun's dark lips carelessly hooked up. His gaze was like the night pearl in the Black Sea, giving off a brilliant and radiant luster. He looked at Su Luo firmly and with no regrets. Girl. Nangong Liuyun's chin was handsome and sculpted, perfectly curved. His gaze was like bright starlight, firmly and seriously gazing at Su Luo. Wait for me to return, okay? Okay, I'll wait for you. Su Luo smiled brilliantly and hugged Nangong Luyun by the neck. She stood on tiptoes and kissed his cheek. Her red lips touched the ice-cold skin, and Su Luo's heart suddenly jumped. But at this moment Nangong Luyun had already firmly pushed her away, took large strides toward the stage. Su Luo's thought process was very fast. With lightning speed, she seemed to have understood something. But just at this time, Nangong Luyun was already on the stage and smiled brilliantly toward Su Luo. This smile would charm all living things, capturing the hearts of every young miss. But Su Luo's expression was very impatient. What to do? Su Luo was so busy that she was running around in circles in place. Ziyan walked over and pulled Su Luo back, pushing her back into the chair and seriously asking with deep concern, "What happened? Why are you anxious like this?" Bei Chening also gathered close. "Don't be anxious. Don't worry. Nangong will definitely defeat Dong Fengxian." Su Luo, with a crying face, said her suspicions out loud. "I suspect Nangong's leg issue flared up again." "What?" Bei Chening immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew about the matter of Nangong Luyun being sick in the middle of the month. At that time, the little Nangong Luyun was in so much pain that he tied himself up. He bit his teeth and crouched under the table. When the elders found him, he had already passed out from the pain. The floor had a huge spot full of water. That was all the sweat that fell from his body. And his body seemed as if it was fished up from deep water, wet from head to toe. But even when he was in so much pain, he still didn't say a word. He didn't yell out a bit about how bitter it was. Even though the bottom of his lips has turned into a meat strip from being bitten. Even though they were in the room next door, they didn't hear a sound. Ever since that time, Bei Chening completely was convinced by Nangong Luyun. That year, Nangong Luyun was only 8 years old. Such a young boy, with pink skin, sculpted like fine jade, a cute little boy, was already able to be ruthless to himself to that degree. The little Bei Chen afterwards directly followed blindly behind him. Now when Bei Chening heard Nangong Liuyun's sickness had returned, his face turned deathly white. "The middle of the month hasn't arrived yet, Bei Chening bit his teeth and said in a low tone. But the deeply worried sound in that tone was very obvious. How could it just happen to be today? Ziyan was so worried that she stamped her feet. "Did you see it wrong?" Beichening stared at Su Luo. His beautiful eyes had a never-before-seen seriousness. Because the Nangong Luoyun on the stage had his body tall and straight, his embroidered robe dancing in the wind. He didn't give off a bit of a feeling as if he was ill. Hope what I thought I saw was wrong. Su Luo bit her lips and took a deep breath. Be that as it may, her heart was still restless. Her sixth sense had always been accurate. Her ability to sense danger had always been very sharp. She had a strong premonition. The premonition indicated that something would happen to Nangong Luoyun on the stage. At this moment, Nangong Luoyun and Dongfangxian stood facing each other on the stage. The corner of Dongfangxian's lips hooked up into a provocative and savage cold smile. His tone was frosty as if it came from prison in the underworld. Third younger brother, it's been a long time since I saw you. Chapter 1530. The Last Battle 11. Nangong Luoyun's expression was apathetic, couldn't tell his mood. He nodded indifferently. First senior brother. Master had always said your natural talent is very good, absolutely none better than you. You are his best masterpiece in his lifetime. A strangeness flashed through Dongfangxian's eyes. His tone was ice-cold and hidden. But I don't believe it. Dongfangxian was enveloped in ice-cold killing intent from head to toe. He murderously stared at Nangong Luoyun. Nangong Luoyun's gaze was sharp and abstruse. His figure was motionless and firm as he rightfully cast a cold sidelong glance at Dongfangxian. Very quickly, you will believe it. Really? Then ask third junior brother to give a few pointers. Dongfangxian's gaze contained varied coldness and frost. A strange reflection floating in it. Acknowledged. Nangong Luoyun's perfectly curved and beautiful chin slowly lifted up. His beautiful eyes were handsome as bright stars. It had a can conquer every obstacle self-confidence. Off the stage, Su Luo's heart suddenly lifted up. Because she could feel that these two people were about to battle. Sure enough, this thought of hers had barely risen up when she saw the two figures quickly crisscross and pass by. Speed, such fast speed. Just now, when the two people crossed by each other, they exchanged 13 moves. But in everyone's eyes, it was only a second in time, such fast speed. Like light that flashed by, the two people had already parted from the exchange. Originally, Nangong Luoyun was on the left, Dongfangxian on the right. But now, Dongfangxian changed to Nangong Luoyun's original position. It was the same for Nangong Luoyun. Several hundred thousands of spectators gave off sounds of surprise and sucked in cold air. Their eyes stared fixedly at the two people on the stage, unblinkingly and with rapt attention. Too brilliant, worthy of being a battle of experts at their summit. A contest of strong against strong. In the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged so many pointers. They actually couldn't make sense of what they saw, but could feel it was very powerful. Nangong Luoyun, didn't expect you actually had such strength. Dongfangxian's eyebrow lifted up slightly. Although he was saying a praise, his eyes, however, were filled with self-confidence. But you are too far behind when compared to me. Victory is not something that comes from boasting. Nangong Luoyun disdainfully sneered. Really? Then I'll let you see whether victory belongs to me. Dongfangxian suddenly drew a sword from his back. This sword's name is Wuxia. Dongfangxian looked as if he was looking at his most beloved lover. His gaze gave off a soft light tone, slowly emphasizing each word he was saying. Once a sword is unsheathed, it will inevitably drink blood before returning. Otherwise he would receive the kickback. Nangong Luoyun faintly smiled, not at all concerned. Dongfangxian's eyes flashed with self-confidence. Looked at the ice-cold sword that would deal the final blow. His soft tone carried a trace of strange darkness. These 10 years, Wuxia has followed me travel all over the world. Encountered a total of 9 10th-ranked experts. Wuxia has already drank blood 9 times. Now senior brother left the last opportunity for you. You should feel honored. The corner of Nangong Luoyun's mouth bloomed into a splendid smile. This last opportunity ought to be set aside for yourself. Only then would it be perfect. Under the stage, Su Luo laughed out loud with a pff sound. Even though her heart was worried, she still found this funny. Nangong Luoyun's speaking ability was still this nimble. Just now he and Dongfangxian fought very quickly and wasn't hindered a bit. She hoped he really didn't fall ill and ruthlessly taught Dongfang Xian a lesson. Both of Su Luo's palms were together in prayer and silently prayed. She had never believed in supernatural beings, but this time, she'd rather believe they exist. On the stage, the dialogue had completed. The Juesha sword in Dongfang Xian's hand suddenly unsheathed. The corner of his mouth hooked up demonically, his gaze staring unwaveringly at Nangong Luoyun. Chapter 1531. The Last Battle 12. Nangong Luoyun's eyes were sharp as a hawk, giving off a cold murderous aura. Third brother, you have always been a gifted genius. It's only a pity, this time you are going to fall. Dongfang Xian coldly smiled. Since before he had wanted to find an opportunity to kill this irksome third junior brother. But the rule of the sect was very strict, so he hadn't found an opportunity. But on the battle stage, a sword has no eyes, even if Master personally came. He also had a reasonable explanation. Nangong Luoyun coldly smiled. A pity you are an idiot. A cold light burst out from Dongfang Xian. Soon after, one only saw him lift up Juesha and pour his spirit powers into it. In the wake of Juesha's blade starting to get brighter, one by one, the number of Dongfang Xian's figure increased on the battle stage. In the end, 36 Dongfang Xian appeared. So many Dongfang Xian encircled the stage and enveloped Nangong Luoyun in the middle. 36 Dongfang Xian. In the end, which one was the real him? Off the stage, everyone was dumbstruck. Su Luo's group was even more anxious. 9 turns of virtue images. Ziyan covered her lips, as she cried out in alarm. What 9 turns of virtue images? Su Luo bit her lower lips, her tone carrying a nervousness. Each of us have a secret life-saving skill. First senior brother learned 9 turns of virtue images for this skill. As long as one fully puts this skill to use, every turn that breaks through, the virtue images will increase by 9-fold. For example, the first turn there will be 9 virtue images, the second turn will be 18 virtue images and so on. While Ziyan was speaking, she also watched Nangong Luoyun being encircled in the middle, full of concern. Su Luo's heart almost dropped to the floor. Then the Dongfang Xian right now must have made 4 turns. What's called only made 4 turns of virtue images? Master at that time said, when first senior brother studied to the 4th turn of virtue images, then in this continent, he would be undefeated among 10th rank and lower. Unless 3rd senior brother got promoted to commander rank, otherwise Ziyan was furious as well as helpless. She was angry that Master would have eyes and not see the pearl, and teach such an awesome skill to first senior brother, who was a bastard that behaved worse than a beast. 3rd junior brother, very soon, you will understand what's called being killed easily. Dongfang Xian was clearly very self-confident. Nangong Luoyun smiled indifferently, his shadow slowly moving up. But at the same time, 36 virtue images lifted up Juesha's sword with their right hand and madly rushed towards Nangong Luoyun in the middle. Such terrifying power. Ziyan cried out in alarm several times. At that time, when first senior brother put this skill to full use, its strength was weaker than this by half. These last 10 years, Dongfang Xian had traveled the world to gain experience, and went to many places no one had tread before. So he had many adventures and opportunities. What will Nangong Luoyun do? Su Luo's gaze stared nervously at the stage. Her heart was in a mess. She was even more nervous than if she herself was to battle Dongfang Xian. Now the 36 virtue images almost rushed to Nangong Luoyun. Juesha's sword was lifted up high, simultaneously hacking down towards Nangong Luoyun in the middle. Don't! Su Luo suddenly stood up and cried out in alarm. Ziyan and Bai Qinying's group also stood up in succession. They almost lost their heads out of fear, watching the stage. Outside the heavily surrounded encirclement, Nangong Luoyun's figure wasn't there. He was still in the center of the encirclement. A countless number of Juesha swords stabbed towards his head. Very quickly, Nangong Luoyun's head was hit with a piercing blow. Su Luo gave a bitter cry of alarm, and almost fainted. She just knew Nangong Luoyun's disease had an outbreak. His strength was greatly reduced. Don't even speak of battling. Just sitting there not moving would be extremely painful. It was all her fault. She should have pulled Nangong Luoyun to a stop earlier. She shouldn't have allowed him to go on the stage to battle. Chapter 1532, The Last Battle, 12. Just at this moment, Bai Qining grabbed Su Luo to stop her, loudly yelling, "Don't be anxious. Nangong Luoyan has already escaped the encirclement." Only now did Su Luo's mind become a bit clear-headed. She opened her eyes wide and looked towards the stage. Sure enough, those sharp swords pierced only Nangong Luoyan's virtue image rather than really piercing his body, because there wasn't a drop of blood on Juesha's sword. Moreover, just when he was about to be pierced, Nangong Luoyan's figure slowly dissipated into the air. Nangong Luoyan dodged too fast, resulting in only his virtual shadow that was left behind. A false alarm. Only now did Su Luo's heart go back to its original position. That second just now, she was terrified out of her mind becoming blank. Until that second, she suddenly discovered how important a place Nangong Luoyan had in her heart. Before, she incessantly wouldn't dare to admit it, but just now, at that second, Su Luo had no choice but to admit he had already completely filled her heart. There wasn't a trace of space left in her heart for someone else. On the stage, Nangong Luoyan didn't know that just because of the false alarm now, it would make Su Luo's heart firm and full of powerful faith in him. At this moment he was still battling Dongfang Xian. Dongfang Xian's sword-like eyebrows fiercely hooked up, his annoyed gaze staring at the don't know when he had left the encirclement Nangong Luoyan. "Your speed now has the qualification to battle with me." Maybe to say that starting from this moment, Dongfang Xian really regarded Nangong Luoyan as an opponent equal to him, and not that cute little boy from back then with a stiff face who tried to pretend to be an adult. Nangong Luoyan coldly smiled. "A pity you can't be compared to me." Such an arrogant tone. Dongfang Xian heavily snorted in displeasure. "Then just try me. How fast is your speed in the end?" Strong experts battle. Speed was more important than attack power. His words hadn't faded when Dongfang Xian had already launched an attack. "Then come." Nangong Luoyan smiled faintly. His words hadn't faded yet his voice had already appeared 100 meters outside. Such a fast speed. Dongfang Xian, seeing this, his brows were tightly knotted. He never imagined, after not seeing him for 10 years, the little brat from back then that he didn't even bother to glance at had grown to the degree where he had to treat this person seriously. Dongfang Xian's eyes exploded out with cold light. Immediately after, his figure moved, pursuing closely after Nangong Luoyan, unwilling to let go. Up ahead, Nangong Luoyan's brows also hooked up slightly. Dongfang Xian was worthy of being first senior brother. His speed was indeed fast, just a token bit faster than him. One in front, one behind. The two people chased non-stop. After images one by one flashed by, the spectators off the stage had all become dumbfounded from watching. After images were how unreal a thing. It had always existed in legends. But this time, they really had seen it for real. Moreover, it wasn't only once. This was a real battle. Only this was the battle of strong experts at the summit. Really was too marvelous. Su Luo took a deep breath and held her breath with rapt attention. She was incomparably serious as she stared at the stage. She didn't dare relax for a second. She was afraid that once she relaxed, Nangong Luoyan would disappear forever in front of her. On the VIP seats, the originally smiling and talking several elder ancestors now had all stopped talking. Their eyes had a trace of seriousness. All the battles before didn't arouse their attention. But this time, even their expressions had become serious. Looks like Luo Haoming losing wasn't wrong. Bai Qining family's master stroked his chin and acted serious as he said this. Humph. Luo family's master had a gloomy expression. His ice-cold eyes cast a heavy glance at Bai Qining family's master. Chapter 1533. The Last Battle 13. Why, humph again, and your family's boy still won't enter the top 4. Bai Qining family's master directly patted the table. Did your family's boy enter? Luo family's master retorted back. It hadn't been long since he lost a grandson and granddaughter. Only this Luo Haoming had shown greatness. But who would have known that he, as the last time's champion, couldn't even enter the top 4, really lost all his face for him. Bai Qining family's master stroked the sparse beard under his chin and proudly said, In any case, my family's boy won't be able to enter the top 4. But able to enter the top 7 is pretty good in any case. He is still young. Oh. Still young, these two words, once again heavily hit Luo family's master. His family's Luo Haoming was about to be 30 years old. Able to participate in this time's roaming dragon list competition was also because he was born in the later month, and was barely able to qualify. Humph. Luo family's master indignantly turned his face away. Beichen family's master's mood got even better. Grandmaster Rong Yun sat on the chairperson seat, and seemed to be looking at the battle on the stage. His pair of pitch-black deep eyes were half-narrowed. Nobody knew what he was thinking of. He sat there indifferently, as if he had drifted away from the 9th layer of heaven, overlooking everything from high above. On the stage, the battle continued. Streak after streak of remnant images appeared in succession. Although Nangong Liuyun's speed was fast, the fine beads of sweat continuously came out of his forehead. His complexion became increasingly paler and paler. Although he pursed his lips and didn't seem to be affected, his movements were still decreased. Just at this moment, Dongfang Xian got closer and closer during the chase. Dongfang Xian's speed was very formidable. Not long after, Nangong Liuyun appeared within the range of his attacks. Looking at the figure that quickly flashed by up ahead, Dongfang Xian's gaze turned sinister as he sneered. Nangong Liuyun, go die. Dongfang Xian lifted up Juesha sword and chopped down from up high. Swoosh. Dongfang Xian's calculation was accurate. Juesha sword hacked down from above Nangong Liuyun's head. If he was hit on the mark, then Nangong Liuyun's body would split from the middle and become 2 halves. At this moment, everyone's heart was tightly raised up. Did His Highness Prince Jin get hit directly? Did it hit? His Highness Prince Jin seems to have been hacked to death. Hit is obscured. Dongfang Xian seemed to cut with thousands of blades. The spectators under the stage were riled up. But on the surface of the battle stage, a deep sword cut appeared. But not a trace of blood could be seen. Nangong Liuyun's figure couldn't be seen all around the stage. A countless number of spectators' eyes were opened until they were round, trying to find a trace of Nangong Liuyun. But they were disappointed, then immediately became excited again. At this moment, Su Luo also slowly released a breath of relief. This battle really was frightening. Su Luo felt that being frightened like this, she would certainly live several years less. This speed is too fast, right? That right, my master's master, compared to them, is simply like a child that just learned to walk. So many remnant images, really a thrilling competition. Even if I lost the bet, able to see this competition is worth the bet. That's right, who did you guys bet on to win? Hehe, got inside information. This Dongfang Xian is His Highness Prince Jin's senior brother. He was promoted to the summit of 10th rank a long time ago. Sorry, I could only abandon His Highness Prince Jin. That's right, that's right. I heard that the Master of Purgatory City regards Dongfang Xian more highly. It could be assumed that his talent and strength is even better. Chances to win is much greater. Although I also like His Highness Prince Jin, but I still bought Hehe. I also bought Dongfang Xian. I heard His Highness Prince Jin got sick again. Off the stage, everyone was discussing spiritedly. Only talking about it did people know. It turned out that the majority of the people bought Dongfang Xian to win. Chapter 1534. The Last Battle 14. If he loses this time, then the financial compensation would be disastrous. Ziyan lowered her voice to say in a whisper, not only do we have to pay out all the money we won before, moreover, we'll have to shoulder millions of crystal stones in debt. PFF. Su Luo took a breath and it went in the wrong way. Her clear, limpid monochrome large eyes then stared at Bei Chening. Bei Chening stiffly nodded. What Ziyan said is correct. She had personally looked over the account books. Su Luo silently turned her gaze towards the stage. Nangong Liuyun, no matter what reason this time, you must push through. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. On the stage, Nangong Liuyun and Dongfang Xian had battled each other, trying to prevail over the other. Bang bang bang. This was an extremely fast battle. The speed was so fast that everyone could only see shadows crisscross. Spectators simply couldn't see how they struck. The only thing they knew was that they could hear the sound of weapons making contact nonstop. Don't know when, a sword had already appeared in Nangong Liuyun's hand, Qi Xiao sword. And in Dongfang Xian's hand was also an exceptional ancient sword, Wuxia sword. The 4 famous swords in the world actually all appeared in this time's roaming dragon list competition. Really is interesting. Dongfang Xian's eyes rose slightly. His own Wuxia sword, Nangong Liuyun's Qi Xiao sword, Luo Haoming's Luo Yu sword, and there was Su Luo's Qingying sword. The rumored legendary 4 famous swords in the world, this time, had already assembled together. Immediately after, Dongfang Xian's tone changed, its deep cold tone carrying a trace of emphasis. The 4 famous swords in the world. I, Dongfang Xian, want all of them. Such a huge appetite, not even afraid of choking to death. Nangong Liuyun mocked as he sneered. Third junior brother, your body doesn't seem to be good. Oh. Dongfang Xian's face suddenly spread out into a smile. His smile was like a blooming flower. Nangong Liuyun's pair of beautiful eyes was long, narrow and deep, flashing with a faint luster. Really? Nangong Liuyun knew that his complexion was terrifyingly pale. Even if he wanted to conceal it, he couldn't. Dongfang Xian's gaze looked towards Nangong Liuyun's leg. Although Nangong Liuyun was standing ramrod straight, extremely handsome, however, that pair of legs couldn't suppress from repeatedly shivering slightly. Seeing this, Dongfang Xian's smile became increasingly carefree. Third junior brother, it seems, even the heavens want to help me. Dongfang Xian simply didn't feel that there was something wrong with taking advantage of someone else's difficulties. He only knew to behead the opponent under Wuxia sword, and he would win. I'm afraid you won't have this chance. The depths of Nangong Liuyun's eyes were like tranquil seas. His exquisite facial features that were carefully carved and cut out was perfect. To collect all 4 famous swords, I'll just begin from you, Nangong Liuyun. Dongfang Xian waved the Wuxia sword, and suddenly rushed towards Nangong Liuyun. His speed was very fast, as if he was about to go through Nangong Liuyun's body. At this time, the 2 people disappeared from the battle stage at the same time. Everyone off the stage was stunned. Huh? Where did the people go? As if they disappeared in a second, completely can't be seen. It seems they flew to mid-air. Suddenly, somebody cried out loudly. Everyone lifted their heads to look. Sure enough, Nangong Liuyun and Dongfang Xian were standing in mid-air. One left, one right, entirely different. At this moment, Su Luo's heart had risen to her throat. Just now what Nangong Liuyun and Dongfang Xian said, she had heard clearly. Her intuition wasn't wrong. Nangong Liuyun indeed had an outbreak of his illness. Moreover, Dongfang Xian knew. Originally, Nangong Liuyun's leg wasn't good. He could only stand on the ground with great difficulty. Now flying to midair wasted even more strength. Su Luo secretly clenched her teeth. Dongfang Xian, treacherous and deceitful. These 2 words really suit your image. Chapter 1535. The Last Battle 15. First senior brother is too hateful. Ziyin bit her lower lips and accompanied Su Luo to stand up, raising their heads to look at the 2 people in midair. Nangong Liuyun is still holding up. Although he didn't show it and the majority of the people hadn't discovered it, but Su Luo knew his situation wasn't good. At this moment, the people in midair stood facing each other. Dongfang Xian's gaze was bloodthirsty and sinister, as he laughed madly. Third junior brother, how long can you hold on? Nangong Liuyun didn't show any weakness as he fought back coldly. How long you can last, is how long I'll accompany you for. But your legs are trembling in fear. Ah. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Xian repeatedly howled with laughter, but his body gave off a murderous aura. Nangong Liuyun's body gave off a cruel fighting intent, the corner of his mouth hooking up into a demonic and cold arc. Senior brother is also scared until you are trembling from head to toe. Ah. Dongfang Xian's Wuxia sword pointed directly at Nangong Liuyun. Death is at hand and you dare mouth off. Nangong Liuyun's expression was indifferent, as if the Dongfang Xian in front of him was merely a transient cloud. Just give it all you've got. Fine. Dongfang Xian shouted loudly. Immediately his body moved. Off the stage, everyone nervously watched the 2 of them in mid-air. Although they couldn't hear clearly what they were saying, but it seemed very violent. Su Luo's heart was also clenched tightly. Her gaze stared unblinkingly at the two figures in midair. Dongfang Xian's body moved. Instantly, around him in all directions, virtual images that looked exactly like him appeared. The number of virtual images continuously increased. 918. 36. 45. 72. As the number of people increased, Su Luo's face became increasingly pale. 72. Dongfang Xian actually condensed out 72 other images of him. First senior brother actually secretly already cultivated to 8 turns. Ziyan's lips trembled slightly. The words she spoke also carried traces of fear. 8 turns of virtual images, what kind of strength it is. Su Luo's tone had a trace of righteous coldness. Maybe he is still hiding his real strength. Bei Qingying's fists were clenched tightly. Dongfang Xian took out his trump card, but Nangong Luyin just so happened to have encountered bad luck to have his illness strike. Was there a more unfortunate matter than this? On the VIP seats, all the elders' brows were also tightly puckered. Nangong, this boy will lose for sure this time. Old man Luo didn't have a good impression of Nangong Luyin because of his grandson and granddaughter. So he didn't mind hitting him while down. Jade Lakesley family's old man faintly smiled. Brother Luo's words are true. Beichen family's old man coldly sneered. Without regard to others, he tossed a shelled peanut in his mouth. The outcome of the battle still hasn't been decided. The two of you guys have set down the verdict too early. Sneer that Nangong boy's strength originally wasn't as strong as that Dongfang boy, not to mention that he is injured right now. If he can win it like this, I Luo Mingxiu will directly give him my family's secret martial arts Thunder Bao. Thunder Bao technique was considered a high-level martial arts. It was much stronger than the one Nangong Luyin took out from the secret book collection. What does Brother Rong Yun think? Old Man Li smiled insincerely as he tossed the dialogue toward Grandmaster Rong Yun. Grandmaster Rong Yun's pair of icy, deep, pitch-black eyes gave off an elegant luster. Among these group of old men, such a handsome male seemed somewhat strange. But none of these old men dared to ignore his existence. Because Grandmaster Rong Yun's strength was profoundly mysterious. Nobody knew if he had reached the monarch rank that existed only in legends. Because no one was able to force Grandmaster Rong Yun to his bottom line. Chapter 1536. The Last Battle 16. For a moment, everyone's gaze all assembled on Grandmaster Rong Yun's body. Everyone all wanted to know how Grandmaster Rong Yun saw this matter. At this moment, Grandmaster Rong Yun sat peacefully on the chair, reclined against the chair's back. His gaze was secluded and far-reaching, his expression tranquil as water. Simply couldn't tell what he was thinking of. Suddenly, Grandmaster Rong Yun's pair of beautiful eyes looked towards Old Man Luo. His tone light as the clouds. His expression was apathetic. Thunder Bao technique? Luo family passed on based on refining medicine. But their strength was also very strong. Luo family's Thunder Bao technique made lighting element experts drool with desire. Although they wanted it, they couldn't get it. Old Man Luo faintly returned his gaze. It's just Thunder Bao technique. Could it be that Grandmaster Rong Yun is interested? Even Old Man Luo must also respectfully call Rong Yun as Grandmaster, and didn't dare to offend him the slightest. Grandmaster Rong Yun was a Grandmaster-level apothecary. Luo family became famous because of refining medicine, but didn't have a single Grandmaster-level apothecary. Moreover, in the past several hundred years, there wasn't one in his family. This was a matter that really slapped his face. Grandmaster Rong Yun's robe was graceful and scholarly, looking handsome and full of spirit. He nodded, red lips hooking up as he carelessly said, "Want to bet? How does Grandmaster want to set the bet?" Old Man Luo gathered close, full of interest. Grandmaster Rong Yun held the teacup. The heat rising up in spirals made his eyes seem blurred and deep. He slowly said, "This seat bets that Nangong family's little boy will win." Only monarch-ranked super-strong experts were qualified to call themselves this seat. The people present, besides Grandmaster Rong Yun, no one else had this qualification. Old Man Luo very matter-of-factly slapped the Thunder Bao technique on the table as he coldly smiled. "This old man bets Dongfang Xian, that little boy wins." Grandmaster Rongyan put down the teacup and from his own space, took out insights to the pharmacology at the Grandmaster rank book, and placed it together with that thunderbow technique. Insights to the pharmacology at the Grandmaster rank? The flesh at the corner of Old Man Luo's lip pulled. So excited that he almost couldn't control himself. People at his high level shouldn't be this excited, but this book that Grandmaster Rongyan took out was not ordinary. Luo family's master believed that as long as he thoroughly researched this book insights to the pharmacology at the Grandmaster rank, there was a great possibility he could be promoted to Grandmaster level apothecarist. If you must know, Old Man Luo had been stuck at master level apothecary for close to 100 years. Old Man Luo very cautiously hid his happiness and nodded, pretending to be indifferent. This book is okay. Grandmaster Rongyan's red lips hooked up, and with a smile that wasn't a smile, cast him a glance. But he didn't say anything else. On this continent, lightning technique books were rare. High-level lightning techniques were so rare as to be pathetic. Although Grandmaster Rongyan had always called Nangong Luyan foolish little boy, however, when he recalled that it would be this foolish boy that would protect his family's apprentice, only then did his interest move to get this technique from Old Man Luo's hand. On the battle stage, the two people's fight had entered the most intense stage. Dongfang Xian was like a god of war that came from ancient times. His Juesha sword was powerful and ferocious, menacing, and its imposing manner was even more earth-shaking. A dark blue water vapor appeared on Nangong Luyan's body, like an armor protecting him. Nangong Luyan had always been at a disadvantage. He only had the chance to defend, whereas Dongfang Xian pressed closer, step by step, with continuous attacks full of killing intent. Suddenly, Nangong Luyan's eyes tightly knotted. The pain in his legs became more and more intense, and it even affected his consciousness. If he continued like this, maybe before he was killed by the opponent, he would faint on the battle stage. This kind of result was not something Nangong Luyan was happy to see. Chapter 1537. The Last Battle 17. Nangong Luyan knew that he must resolve this as fast as possible. Therefore, before the next wave of pain came, he must resolve Dongfang Xian. Receive this move. Nangong Luyan coldly humphed. Immediately after, his figure flashed. The originally quiet midair suddenly became an extremely strong tornado. It whizzed by with extreme cold as it swept towards the entire earth. All around, the view became blurred and blocked. Dongfang Xian's view was also the same. Good opportunity. The Qi Shao sword in Nangong Luyan's hand facing the sky soared out. Dongfang Xian's hand gripped Juesha sword, steadily standing in midair. Seeing Nangong Luyan's style become more ferocious, the corner of his mouth hooked into a cold sneer. Third junior brother, looks like I overestimated you. Immediately after, Dongfang Xian's hand made preparations to defend. Just at this moment, a black figure that didn't leave any virtual images behind rushed towards Dongfang Xian as if he teleported. Dongfang Xian's expression suddenly changed. Just now, that disdainful sneer, in an instant, froze at the corner of his mouth. Fast. Nangong Luyan's speed was simply too fast. So fast that he didn't have time to defend. Bang! Qi Shao sword carried flames of fury among a tornado of wind, bring a world-shaking inexhaustible force, directly hacking horizontally towards Dongfang Xian. Speed was too fast, fast as a streak of light. Humph! Dongfang Xian's expression became grave. But he still hadn't gotten to the stage of losing his head from fear. In the wake of this attack, Dongfang Xian did not dodge or avoid, both hands lifting up Juesha sword. He was like a mountain blocking what's to come. Clang, 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 the two exceptional ancient swords collided. For a moment, sparks was sent in all directions, that dazzled the eyes. Nangong Luyan couldn't hack down all the way, Dongfang Xian couldn't push up. The two people's strength were evenly matched. At this moment, the scene seemed to be fixed in place. The spectators offstage watching this all seemed to be stupefied. What a beautiful scene of strong experts rushing forward to battle. This absolutely was the peak of battles by strong experts. Normally, even if you were to lose the family fortune, you still wouldn't be able to see this. Because the follow-up from the battle of two strong experts were enough to turn ordinary people into smoke. But this time, Grandmaster Rong Yin put a restriction on the battle stage. As a result, they could watch this never-before-seen battle since ancient times of two strong experts without worry. At such close distance, Dongfang Xian's gloomy, cold and deep gaze stared at Nangong Luyin. It turns out you actually hid your strength. Right back at you. Nangong Luyin smiled faintly, but the sweat on his forehead slowly rolled down. Dongfang Xian gave a sneering laugh. A pity that in the end, you still will lose. Because Nangong Luyin simply couldn't persist on for much longer. However, at this moment, he had no choice but to admire Nangong Luyin. Although his body wasn't well, that frightening fighting strength still gave him lingering fear. If this was at his peak period, Dongfang Xian didn't dare to continue this thought. If Nangong Luyin was to battle him at his peak, then what were the odds of him succeeding? This question, Dongfang Xian himself didn't know the answer to. Didn't expect that after 10 years, the little brat at that time had grown this fast. So fast he had already become a powerful threat to him. If another 10 years was to pass, then, thinking up to here, Dongfang Xian's gaze gave off a sinister light. This time he must not spare any cost and thoroughly strangle Nangong Luyin in the cradle. Because if he didn't kill him this time, wait until he matured, he wouldn't be able to sit in this position of first senior brother. Dongfang Xian's face was twisted, as he smiled strangely. Third junior brother, go die. He had just finished speaking when Dongfang Xian added more than 100% of spirit force to Juetia sword. In a flash, Juetia sword slowly sliced towards Nangong Liuyun's throat. Chapter 1538. The Last Battle, 18. Nangong Liuyun's sword-like eyebrows puckered up. He took a deep breath and, at the same time, poured in over 100% of his spirit strength. Afterwards, Qi Xiao sword slowly rose up in strength, and maintained the equilibrium state from just now. But even like this, Nangong Luyin still knew he was at a disadvantage. If this deadlock continued, wait until the next wave of pain came, Dongfang Xian would definitely grab the opportunity to launch his fiercest attack. Nangong Liuyun's brows rose slightly. Suddenly, Qi Xiao's sword flashed with lightning, giving off a sizzling sound. Hateful. Dongfang Xian's heart was greatly alarmed. Sure enough, it was the lightning system element. On weapons, it naturally held an advantage. Dongfang Xian suddenly recoiled back. Momentarily, the two both retreated back 100 meters. Dongfang Xian laughed heartily. Third junior brother is worthy of being third junior brother. Strength really is astonishing. But the battle just now, I as senior brother, didn't integrate my element within it. The following attack, you must be careful. Say less nonsense. Nangong Liuyun's pair of purple eyes were incomparably indifferent. The next move, the mountains will explode and crack. Dongfang Xian gripped the Juetia sword. The spirit powers in his body quickly rotated throughout. The astonishing fighting aura leaped up continuously. Nangong Liuyun's expression was cold and serene. His indifferent gaze gave off a faint cold light. Qi Xiao's sword was waiting to be released after accumulating power. Two shadows that could destroy everything streaked across the horizon. The two people were like shooting stars as they shot towards each other, and knocked into each other at the speed of light. Boom, boom. A horrible colliding sound seemed to shatter the world. The air was like waves rolling out and surging violently nonstop. Flashing lightning sword method. Nangong Liuyun's eyes were dark and cold. Lightning flickered on Qi Xiao's sword as if it weighed 500 kilograms. But its speed was still strangely very fast, as if it could cut through the space between heaven and earth. The atmosphere gave off sizzling sounds. Heaven falls and earth rends. Dongfang Xian poured the ice element into Juetia sword. Bang! A loud noise resounded. Qi Xiao's sword and Juetia sword met again. This time, both exceptional ancient swords contained an elemental technique. Its force was several folds greater than before. After making contact, Dongfang Xian's figure immediately dodged, his figure quickly recoiling back. But Nangong Liuyun's figure quickly fell. A lot of people off stage gave an alarmed shout. Some even covered their eyes in panic and could not bear to look. Because the Nangong Liuyun at this moment looked like a dead leaf silently falling down. As expected, His Highness Prince Jin couldn't beat Dongfang Xian. This battle, looks like His Highness Prince Jin is about to lose. A pity His Highness Prince Jin couldn't win. A countless number of sighs intertwined together, forming a strong lament. At this moment, Su Luo's hands were clenched into fists. She wished to immediately rush up and catch Nangong Luoyun, but a restriction was set on the battle stage. She simply couldn't go in. Nangong Luoyun, hold on. Su Luo's pair of hands formed a horn shape and loudly shouted at Nangong Luoyun in midair. At this moment, Nangong Luoyun's figure was about to fall to the ground. Just at this second, Nangong Luoyun's body suddenly flipped over and stood up in the sky. It was a beautiful action when he flipped over. Although you couldn't see any pain on his face, however, at this moment, Nangong Luoyun felt the blood and qi in his body rolling over and over. In the wake of his movement, everyone released a breath of relief. His Highness Prince Jin is okay. Fortunately. Everyone seemed relieved. But what made them collapse was, they hadn't released a breath in relief when all of a sudden, a strong attack locked onto Nangong Luoyun. Nangong Luoyun, go die. High in the sky, Dongfang Xian carried a power that startled the sky, proudly looking down. His pair of hands held Wuxia sword and exploded towards Nangong Luoyun. Chapter 1539, The Last Battle, 19. That kind of power that could move the heavens made it impossible to take cover. No place to retreat. Don't. Su Luo cried out in alarm. She suddenly recalled a long time ago. She was being chased to be killed by Li Aoqiong, where there was no road to heaven nor door to hell. Just at the critical point when he was about to kill her, Master appeared. Master appeared in a very special manner. He waved his hand and it seemed as if the space/time around him froze. Even Li Aoqiong, who was attacking her, became motionless as if his acupuncture points were locked. At this moment, Su Luo wished with all her heart that time would stop. Nangong Luoyun's extremely beautiful face hardened into a cold line. Determined and icily arrogant from head to toe, he was full of a strong force that was about to burst out. Would he be able to block it? At this moment, it wasn't just Su Luo. Everyone's heart gave off this question and had this worry. Because this strength wasn't something humans could block. Suddenly, Nangong Luoyun's complexion suddenly changed, becoming incomparably pale. His pair of legs standing on the ground became unstable and trembled slightly. Oh heavens! The rim of Su Luo's eyes became red in an instant. Nangong Luoyun's leg's illness had flared up once again. His leg illness flaring up was divided into 3 stages. The pain would increase exponentially. Originally, it wouldn't reach the 3rd stage so quickly, but because he was battling Dongfang Xian, his blood and qi rolled over. As a result, in a short 2-hour time period, the pain index had risen to the highest. Not good. Second brother simply can't block this move. Bai Qinying's expression was unprecedented, solemn and anxious. What to do? What to do? Dongfang Xian simply wants third senior brother to die. He simply doesn't have any intent of holding back. Ziyan was so anxious that she almost cried. Concede, concede, concede. Su Luo repeated this silently in her heart. She didn't care about ranking number, she only wanted him to be safe and accompanied by her side to roam the world, hand in hand until old. Although he was in extreme pain, Nangong Luoyun's sword-like eyebrows and star-like pupils didn't have a thread of pain. Right now, from head to toe, he gave off a strong, honorable and awe-inspiring aura. Go die. Dongfang Xian's figure came closer and closer, closer and closer. Suddenly, a strange happy expression flashed through Nangong Luoyun's eyes. A strong spirit force floated out from Nangong Luoyun's body, and became a thick fog. It firmly enveloped Nangong Luoyun within, wrapping him up like a chrysalis. Whereas Nangong Luoyun, under thousands of eyes, sat on the ground cross-legged. His pair of eyes was closed tightly, sinking into a moment of enlightenment to cultivate. Bang! Dongfang Xian's expression abruptly changed, but he couldn't take back the attack of the Wuxia sword in his hand. It ruthlessly hacked down from above Nangong Luoyun's head. But when Wuxia sword was an inch from Nangong Luoyun suddenly, the entire world seemed to freeze at this moment. Dongfang Xian raged between gritted teeth. condensed all the spirit force in his body and poured it all into Jueshia's sword. 1 inch. He only needed 1 inch and he would be able to kill Nangong Luyin. But just this inch distance, no matter what, he couldn't advance forward. Moreover, not only was it that Jueshia's sword couldn't approach, even he himself seemed to have been frozen into an ice cube and couldn't move. How could this be? Dongfang Xian had a very not good premonition. Why did His Highness Prince Jin sit down? Could it be he isn't afraid? Dongfang Xian's sword couldn't stab down? It seems even Dongfang Xian's body has been frozen, the appearance of being completely unable to move. In the end, what is going on? Is it because a powerful expert had moved to save him? Off the stage, a countless number of people was discussing this. The overwhelming majority of the people didn't know what happened. But Su Luo knew. Chapter 1540. The Last Battle, 20. At this moment, Su Luo nearly cried tears of joy. Nangong Luyin. He actually at the last minute successfully fused his element, advancing to commander rank. Because she had curiously asked Master before. Master said that once you reach commander rank, you would understand domain. And before, when he saved Su Luo, he used the domain to lock people in place. Within a limited range, could lock space and time. This is the sage domain that a strong expert would have. The sage domain comprised of 3 stages. They were commander rank, saint rank and monarch rank. But once you stepped into the sage domain, this meant that you had entered the forest of the strongest experts in the world. From 10th rank to commander rank, although it was only 1 level apart, but between the two was a distance and depth that was the size of the Mariana Trench. Anya Xian, Luo Haoming, even Dongfang Xian, they had already been promoted to 10th rank 10 years ago. For these 10 years, they traveled the entire world, looking for all kinds of miracles and opportunities. But even like this, they still had no way to be promoted to commander rank. But Nangong Luyin, he got promoted. Su Luo cried tears of joy. Dongfang Xian wanted to cry but lacked the tears. Seeing Nangong Luyin in front of him with closed eyes cultivating, Dongfang Xian almost cried. Because right now his body couldn't move. Just like an idiot, maintaining the attacking posture and unable to do anything to the opponent. Originally, victory was within grasp with confidence. But in front of reality, it was struck and died horribly. Dongfang Xian was so angry that his teeth clenched, but he had no other choice. Because at this moment Nangong Luyin was being promoted. Not only the laws of heaven and earth was protecting him. Don't know when he understood the domain confinement, which he now used fully. The situation at this moment was in a deadlock. On the stage, so serene, as if being confined in ice and snow. On the VIP seat, Old Man Luo's face was as black as the bottom of the pot. So deep that water could seep out. Grandmaster Rong Yun leisurely played with the white jade thumb ring, the corner of his lips hooking into a ghost of a smile. Still, Grandmaster Rong Yun's gaze is far-reaching and profound. This old man extremely admires it. Old Man Luo's mouth rigidly squeezed out this sentence. Grandmaster Rong Yun's I had a faint chill and Frost only said 3 words. Let me win. Old Man Luo was angered half to death. He had no choice but to toss that Thunderbow technique book to in front of Grandmaster Rong Yun. Looks like Dongfang Xian will lose for certain. This book of martial arts, please Grandmaster Rong Yun put it away carefully. According to Old Man Luo's way of thinking, the competition hadn't finished yet. There was still a chance for a reversal. He was merely being polite, letting Grandmaster Rong Yun say these polite words to give him steps to stride off on. But he never expected that Grandmaster Rong Yun would accept that book. He didn't even think and directly tossed it into his space ring. Shallow Phoenix eyes narrowed. Since it's like this, then this seat will kindly accept. Kindly accept. Kindly accept. The smile at the corner of Old Man Luo's mouth stiffened. He even forgot to take back the hand he had extended. The match hadn't finished yet he had actually interestingly accepted the gamble stake. Old Man Luo was angered half to death. He had no choice but to clench his teeth and, stressing each word, said, "Hope the outcome is according to your wish." Grandmaster Rong Yun's pitch-black and arrogant eyes glittered with faint light, and seriously nodded his head. "It will. It will your head." Old Man Luo secretly hated in his heart, but on the surface he still had to accompany him to smile. At the same time, Old Man Luo's gaze stared fixedly at Dongfang Xian. Dongfang Xian was Purgatory City Master's first disciple. His talent was outstanding with formidable strength. Nangong families that boy could actually get promoted at such a dangerous juncture. Maybe Dongfang Xian that boy could also be promoted. Chapter 1541. Last Battle. 21. Old Man Luo was full of expectations as he looked towards Dongfang Xian, expecting that Dongfang Xian could counterattack. But having arrived at this moment, was Dongfang Xian really able to counterattack? No one was clear. At this moment, off the stage, everyone looked at their Highness Prince Jean with a new gaze. His Highness Prince Jean actually advanced. Commander rank? His Highness Prince Jean has reached the legendary commander rank? His Highness Prince Jean is worthy of admiration. Eastern Ling is formidable and domineering. Dongfang Xian, go die for your daddy. A countless number of yells rose and fall in succession. On the stage, Dongfang Xian's dry face turned red. Right now he wanted to free himself and get off the stage, but such a simple movement he couldn't do. He could only look like an idiot, foolishly maintain that statue-like posture, looking on helplessly as the spirit force on Nangong Liuyun's body increased, as his imposing manner became more and more formidable. Don't know how long had passed. Nangong Liuyun's dense and curved eyelashes trembled slightly. Soon after, his eyes opened slowly. His jet black as ink eyes were clear as water. In its depths burned a faint obsidian light. He stood up, his long hair dancing lightly in the wind, making him look as handsome as a god. His entire person seemed very indolent, and also gave off a faint demonic charm. He stood there, giving off the domineering aura of a king. The Nangong Liuyun at this moment gave people an intense attack on their sights and a formidable deterrence force. Seeing this kind of Nangong Liuyun, Dongfang Xian's eyes darkened. Immediately, ire rushed out. Dongfang Xian, do you still want to battle? Nangong Liuyun's eyes hooked up slightly, giving a feeling of beauty that stole people's souls. However, that innate arrogance, nobility and domineering manner added more power to him. Speak less nonsense, fight. Dongfang Xian's eyes narrowed dangerously. Nangong Liuyun smiled coldly, then he poured the lightning element into Qi Xiao sword. The originally dark Qi Xiao sword, in an instant lit up. Its sword blade was like a clear spring, shiny like daytime. This time, it was double the brightness from before. The bad premonition in Dongfang Xian's heart became more intense. But matter had already become like this. If he didn't fight, it would become a devil in his heart. Although he knew the chances of losing was much greater, Dongfang Xian still didn't say anything else and directly rushed up waving Juesha sword. Clang! Qi Xiao sword and Juesha sword once again collided together. Buzz! A strong rumble sound came from heaven and earth. Everyone held their breath with rapt attention, their gazes unblinkingly staring at the stage. His Highness Prince Jean advanced to commander rank. Dongfang Xian was already known as at the summit of 10th rank. There was just a line between the two people's difference in strength. In the end, who would win? The first two times, His Highness Prince Jean was always at a disadvantage. This time, would he be able to counterattack successfully? Under everyone's eyes, Nangong Liuyun's Qi Xiao sword heavily hacked Dongfang Xian's Juesha sword. Momentarily, a lightning dragon serpent quickly coiled around Juesha sword. Soon after, Nangong Liuyun's dark red lips slowly hooked up into a determined-to-win cold smile. One only saw him suddenly use force. Bang! An intense sound echoed, and Juesha sword gave off a loud cry, stopping in everyone's ears like the sharp wail of an infant lingering mournfully. Immediately after, a thumbnail-size hole appeared on Juesha sword. Dongfang Xian looked at that opening. Immediately, his face had a sinister and vengeful expression. The Juesha sword he was most proud of was damaged by Qi Xiao sword's attack. Wasn't it saying that Juesha sword was not as good as Qi Xiao sword? It's not that Juesha sword can't be compared to Qi Xiao sword, rather, Juesha sword's master can't be compared to Qi Xiao sword's master. Nangong Liuyun's light pink lips sneeringly hooked up. Because you do not deserve to have Juesha sword. Chapter 1542 Nangong's Victory 1. You shut up. Dongfang Xian raved, his eyes burning like raging fire. Nangong Luoyun was noble as always, unhurriedly making his move. Bang! The intense sound of mysterious black iron colliding, and sparks flew in all directions from the weapons. Another hole appeared on Wuxia's sword. Dongfang Xian looked in disbelief at the two holes that were created in succession, the veins on his forehead jumping out in confusion. Originally, the one holding the advantage was him, but now everything had reversed. He was hit under heavy pressure from Nangong Luoyun. He was the first senior brother. Dongfang Xian's anger soared, the fury in his eyes increasing even more. But the more he was like this, the more his moves became increasingly chaotic. This gave Nangong even more ease to defeat him. Less than several moves later, clang, a sharp sword cry could be heard. Soon after, Wuxia's sword left Dongfang Xian's hand and flew far into the distance. Finally, it inserted deep into the ground, only the handle didn't enter. Dongfang Xian's entire person was stupefied. Right now, his hair was in disarray, with specks of red on his clothes and many sword injuries on his body. Although the condition of his injuries was serious, this made him feel as if he had received the greatest humiliation. Nangong Luoyun! Dongfang Xian shouted. His face was as gloomy as millennium-old condensed frost. He gave off a bloodthirsty murderous aura from head to toe. Nangong Luoyun's gaze was sinister and strange, the corner of his lips carelessly hooked up, giving him a charm that could enchant all living things. Dongfang Xian admit defeat. Nangong Luoyun cast sideways glances at him from high up, looking down. The Qi Shao sword laid at his neck horizontally. Cold light flickered on Qi Shao's sword. It only had to move slightly, and it would immediately decide Dongfang Xian's life or death. A hysterical light rushed out from Dongfang Xian's eyes, as if it would explode out at any time. Off the stage, everyone held their breath with rapt attention, staring in disbelief at His Highness Prince Jin on the stage. Excellent. His Highness was definitely a gifted genius that was 1 in 10,000. Just now he was forced by Dongfang Xian until he was unable to retreat, but in the blink of an eye, he advanced. He was still that formidable existence that could produce rain with a flip of his hand. Dongfang Xian originally had victory within his grasp. His anger was like a rampant fire. But at this moment he was forced to half-kneel on the ground. His gaze revealed an ominous glint, but he was powerless. His Highness Prince Jin's counterattack was too marvelous. Off the stage, a lot of people's eyes had an excited glint. Even if they lost this time, but able to see such a marvelous sight, they felt it was truly worth it. Everyone was staring at the Qi Shao sword that was giving off a cold light. As long as Qi Shao's sword flashed, then Dongfang Xian's head would land on the ground. Having reached this moment, what would Dongfang Xian do? Nangong Luoyun, you dare to kill me? Two red-hot glowing flames flashed in Dongfang Xian's eyes. Why wouldn't I dare? Nangong Luoyun's tall body stood straight under the sunlight, his shadow stretched out really long. His long dark hair was loose, and his expression had a demonic charm with a dark ruthlessness. He also had a trace of carelessness, as if he didn't care. Could it be that you aren't afraid of Master? To make Dongfang Xian personally say to spare his life was impossible. Who would have imagined that hearing this sentence, a ghost of a smile appeared in Nangong Luoyun's eyes. His smile bloomed until he was brilliant like a glittering stone, his entire person seeming handsome to the extreme. Master? Nangong Luoyun's thick eyebrows rose up slightly. How could Master blame me? If Master knew you wanted to kill Luo girl, at that time, the person whose body would be dismembered into 10,000 pieces would be Yuo. Although Dongfang Xian didn't know why Nangong Luoyun would be so certain. However, he knew he definitely had something to rely on. He certainly wouldn't let him go easily. Nangong Luoyun, if you have the ability, then kill me. Dongfang Xian howled madly. Chapter 1543, Nangong's Victory, 2. But the Qi Shao sword in Nangong Luoyun's hand turned in reverse, and the handle of the sword ruthlessly hit the back of Dongfang Xian's head. Bang! A heavy sound echoed. Dongfang Xian's pair of eyes closed. His pair of eyes had hypnotic swirls in them as his legs softened, and he fell to the ground. The always powerful Dongfang Xian, actually would meet a day when he was knocked dizzy by someone. Moreover, it was in front of more than 100,000 people. This was truly embarrassing. But Dong Fengxian didn't know because right now he was unconscious. Nangong Luyan took out a soft white handkerchief from his sleeves and silently wiped Qishao sword clean. At this moment, the people off stage were discussing matters spiritedly. Almost everyone was praising His Highness Prince Jin for being amazing. But Su Luo's eyes sank slightly. Based on her understanding of Nangong Luyan, Dong Fengxian wanting to kill her, Nangong Luyan would definitely not so easily let him off. However now, he resolved the matter in the shortest time possible by knocking Dong Fengxian unconscious. Among this, could it be that being promoted to commander rank, the illness in his legs healed? Su Luo naturally didn't believe it. Su Luo's gaze turned to Nangong Luoyun's pair of legs. Immediately, her gaze became frosty. Su Luo didn't even have time to think, and directly ran into Grandmaster Rong Yun's private VIP room. "Master, can you announce the result of this match now?" Su Luo didn't even knock on the door, and she started to yell from far away. The several old men in the room had their brows puckered up. Grandmaster Rong Yun was too spoiling towards that girl, okay? Making such a big fuss and wouldn't get into trouble? Grandmaster Rong Yun slanted a glance at Su Luo in displeasure as he unhurriedly gave a humph. "What's the rush? Dong Fengxian has already passed out. What are you waiting for?" Su Luo used a straightforward gaze and directly pulled Grandmaster towards the outside. "Master, a bit faster, ah." The old men inside the room were all astonished. It was said that Grandmaster Rong Yun hated the most to have contact with people. He had an extremely serious obsession with cleanliness. Moreover, he usually had a profoundly mysterious appearance and did not show his feelings on his face. But this girl was clearly getting special treatment. It was said that Grandmaster Rong Yun pampered his new little apprentice to the extreme. Now seeing this, sure enough, it was like that. Whoever married this girl would completely get Grandmaster Rong Yun, this formidable ally. Thinking of this, several elder ancestors had thoughts in that direction, and tried to think if there were outstanding young males in their family's younger generation. Su Luo completely didn't know she had become the focus of several elder ancestors' thoughts. At this moment, she quickly pulled Grandmaster Rong Yun up to the stage. Although Grandmaster Rong Yun glared at Su Luo unhappily, he still directly declared that Nangong Luyan was the victor of this match. "It's great, His Highness Prince Jin won. His Highness Prince Jin won." Off the stage came enthusiastic cheers. In the wake of Grandmaster Rong Yun having spoken, Su Luo cast aside her master. With a flash, her figure arrived at Nangong Luoyun's side. Su Luo extended her hand to hook it around his arm, lifting her palm-sized little face to smile as bright as the sunshine at him. "Nangong, you did it really great." Being praised by his beloved woman, Nangong Luoyun's heart was as sweet as honey. His slender finger hooked the tip of Su Luo's lovable and charming nose. "It's only natural. Matters I promised you. How could I not accomplish it?" Su Luo unhappily glared at him, supported his body and used the tone only the two of them could hear. "If you have words to say it when we get back." Nangong Luoyun smiled, and placed most of his body weight on Su Luo. Sure enough, his Luo girl was very careful, single-mindedly thinking of him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have so quickly pulled Grandmaster Rong Yun over. Grandmaster Rong Yun looked at those figures that had their hands around each other, and he faintly snorted. Little girl that ran after finished using other people, little thing that lacked a conscience. Alas, a woman's heart is with her husband. Grandmaster Rong Yun gave a long jealous sigh. Chapter 1544, Nangong's Victory 3, Su Luo supported Nangong Luyan down the stage. Bei Chen-ing and Ziyan, in a lively manner, ran over. Lan Xian and Anya Ming also circled over. "Second brother, you are too awesome." Bei Chen-ying's hand slapped Nangong Luyan on the shoulder. Who knew Nangong Luoyun's figure lowered? If it was not for Su Luo's support, he certainly would directly sit on the ground. This, Bei Chen-ing looked at his own palm with a freakish expression and some doubt. When did his palm have the strength of Hercules? Nangong's body which had such strong defense, how could he? Su Luo glowered at Bei Chen-ing. She lowered her voice and warned. I'll calculate this debt with you when we get back. After Su Luo called Dragon-Scaled Horse over, she went into the carriage with Nangong Luyan, and they directly left. Anya Ming patted Bai Chenying's shoulder to console him. You boy, are finished for sure. Bai Chenying scowled miserably. Second brother looked completely normal. How could I have known? Known that his leg illness simply hadn't healed yet. He looked the same as if he was healthy. Okay? You idiot. Ziyan disdainfully rolled her eyes at Bai Chenying. She caught up with Lan Xian and Anya Ming, quickly returning. Hey, you guys wait for me. Wait for me. With great difficulty, Bai Chenying returned to his senses. He discovered that everyone had left, becoming only little black dots. Without delay, he hurriedly rushed to catch up. Inside the horse carriage, after Nangong Luyan entered, his tense body finally loosened. Su Luo hurriedly took out celestial spirit water for him to drink. Do you feel a bit more comfortable? Su Luo's huge, clear and pitch-black eyes were full of deep concern. A lot better, don't worry. Nangong Liuyun's smile was splendid like sunshine. Here, there is only the two of us, don't need to keep up the front. Su Luo's snow-white little hand had a hot spirit aura, and slowly massaged his pair of legs to help him alleviate the pain of the cold poison. Nangong Luyan leaned against the wall of the carriage, sweat rushing forth like broth. His complexion was pale as snow. His eyes were weakly half-opened. His lowered eyes watched as Su Luo helped him alleviate some of the pain. His dark red lips slowly hooked up, the corner of his eyes bending into a half-moon shape that was beautiful and alluring. In a low voice he softly moaned. Foolish girl. No one is more foolish than you. Su Luo used a bit more force to hammer his leg, and Nangong Luyan sucked in a cold breath from the pain. Su Luo did not raise her head, however. Her tone had a trace of being choked by emotions. Her words were fast and repeatedly reproached him. Originally, your strength couldn't be compared to Dongfang Xian, and you clearly knew your leg illness had flared up. Why did you still go on the stage? Clearly, you know it's to go throw your life away. Why did you still need to go? Faced with Su Luo's emotional flipping out, Nangong Luyan was as clever and obedient as a little deer. His face had a smile as he explained in a low voice. Isn't this a win? Win. If it weren't for at that critical moment the heavens helped you, if it weren't for you suddenly being promoted at that second, how could you have won? Dongfang Xian's sword strike would have directly split you into two. Su Luo was furious and her hand heavily hammered down. His Nangong Luyan was in so much pain that cold sweat came out. This plucky girl, her hands were really impolite. Although he was being scolded, the corner of Nangong Liuyun's mouth raised up even more. His smiling expression became more obvious. Pitch black as ink pair of star-like pupils were dazzling, hidden under thick eyelashes. It was so bright and deep, just like a crystal flashing with colors that dazzled the eyes. His long slender arm extended out. Su Luo had stood up and was unsteady and directly sat on his body. Suddenly Su Luo was very nervous and cried out in surprise. Quickly release me. How are you? Did I put too much pressure on you? Nangong Liuyun's red lips hooked up alluringly. Black eyes were warm as jade, unblinkingly looking at Su Luo. He engraved her outlandishly beautiful face in the depths of his brain, leaving a strong mark in his soul. Chapter 1545, Nangong's Victory for Foolish Girl. Nangong Liuyun's long and slender as jade hand cupped that crystal-like white face. He caressed her cheeks while his heart ached. Don't be worried, aren't I just fine now? Although she was scolding him, however, the rim of his Luo girl's eyes were red. Nangong Liuyun's heart was like a lemon blending in with water, sour and tart, making his heart extremely distressed. It's all because you are not good. Su Luo reproached him loudly. Yes, it's all because I'm not good. Nangong Luyan repeatedly acknowledged his mistake in a good temper. His large hand pressed her head into his chest, hugging her to him. Until this moment, he confirmed his Luo girl was still by his side. He wouldn't lose her. Dongfang Xian's attack from when he flew down from midair. Although his expression remained the same, however, his heart still was a bit panicked. He was afraid he would die. He was afraid he would never see his Luo girl. even to be afraid that his Luo girl would once again get tangled up with that Yun Qi. At that moment, all the concern, worry and pain mixed together. At that moment, it was as if heaven finally was alert during that time of life and death, giving him the divine light to understand the heavenly rules. Otherwise, how he would be right now would really be hard to say. Su Luo buried herself in Nangong Liuyun's chest, listening to his steady and strong heartbeat. Smelling the sunshine like warm flavor coming from his body, she deeply engrossed herself in it. Next time, you mustn't do something like this, do you hear me? Su Luo's tone wasn't as forceful as before, but still wouldn't let him disagree. You don't know, off the stage, my heart almost stopped beating. Okay. Nangong Luyun supported her thin and weak back, smilingly coaxed her. Right now, the sunlight was just right, slanting in through the window. The comfortably warm spring wind brushed in. The two people inside the carriage hugged just like this and fell into a deep sleep. One was drained from fighting on the battle stage. The other was mentally worried from being keyed up watching, off the stage. So now that the result had come out, with her mind relaxed, they both sank into deep sleep. The dragon-scaled horse subconsciously slowed down. It used a strolling and steady pace. Time passed gradually. The sun was about to set. Nangong Luyun and Su Luo still hadn't arrived. Bei Qining and the group looked at each other in dismay. Didn't they leave before us? How is it that they still haven't arrived yet? Ziyan anxiously paced back and forth inside the reception hall. Maybe they went to take care of their private matters? Bei Qining stroked his chin, letting his imagination roam. Put away your head full of wild imagination. Third senior brother's body is unwell. How could you guys not be worried? Luo has made countless number of enemies. Could it be you guys are not worried? Ziyan's gaze swept among them, making a circle. Not worried. Those three that lacked a conscience actually nodded their heads and said it with a serious expression. You guys don't value loyalty. Ziyan pointed at them, panting with rage. She was just about to issue a lengthy sigh of regret, when outside came the light sound of a horse's hooves and whinny. They are here. Ziyan cried out in surprise and hurriedly ran outside. At this time, Nangong Luyun was already awake, but Su Luo was still in a deep sleep. As a result, everyone saw Nangong Luyun carrying Su Luo, his long legs taking large strides as he walked out from the horse carriage. Every one of his steps was very steady, as if he really was all right. Bei Qining hurriedly rushed up, extended a hand. Eldest, how about I do it? Although Su Luo was slender, she still weighed 40 to 50 kilograms. Nangong Liuyun's gaze were like ice blades, as if made from ice that had accumulated for 3,000 years, fiercely shooting towards Bei Qining. Chapter 1546. Nangong's victory. 5. Bei Qining's hand directly froze in mid-air. Cough cough. Bei Qining speechlessly rubbed his nose. It's better. You do it. Second brother's jealousy was still that great. Leg already hurt to this degree still. A super good man. Watching as third senior brother carried Su Luo and left, an envious light flashed through Ziyan's eyes. In this world, there isn't another male as perfect as third senior brother. Who said? Bei Qining slanted her a glance and patted his own chest. In front of your eyes is an even more perfect male. You. Ziyan imitated Su Luo's appearance, arrogantly raised her chin up, and directly said two words. I go. You go what? Bei Qining didn't understand. I'm going to the bathroom. Ziyan turned around to make a wry face at him, then bounced off. This girl. Bei Qining placed his hands at hips and helplessly laughed. Inside the room, Nangong Luyun gently laid Su Luo on the bed. At this moment, the sun was about to set, the whole sky tinged with sunset hues. Orange, red colors cast down through the clouds, as if the entire earth was draped in red-colored clothing. Contrasting against the red cloud, Su Luo's dainty beautiful complexion became increasingly brilliant, dazzling the eyes, magnificent and blinding. Foolish girl. Nangong Liuyun's long and jade-like finger poked Su Luo's perfectly spotless face, like a little child playing with an infant. I said I will protect you. How can I shrink back as the battle approaches? Not winning this competition, then how can I marry you? If I don't become strong, how will I protect you? During a life or death situation, it's easier to break through awe. Nangong Luoyun chattered on like an old man. While playing with Su Luo who was asleep, he said endless words. However, trust in your man he has never lost. Nangong Luoyun's lip pursed into a smile. His smile was gorgeous like a summer flower. His eyes were like the stars at night, so dazzling with endless splendor. Night gradually approached. Nangong Luoyun held his most beloved woman and sank into a deep sleep. While dreaming, he would occasionally say some crazy words, his forehead dripping with sweat. From night to daybreak, it seemed to pass in an instant. The morning of the second day, Su Luo had woken up way earlier. When she woke up, she discovered the furniture around was arranged in an unfamiliar manner. It took quite a while before she returned to her senses. This was Nangong Luoyun's room. Su Luo patted her head and used great effort to recall. Why was she sleeping in Nangong Luoyun's room? Why was she sleeping on his bed? Su Luo discovered that her last memory was in the horse carriage. While she was scolding Nangong Luoyun, she fell asleep. Then there wasn't any memory afterwards. She didn't have any impression of what happened afterwards. Su Luo turned her head to look. Nangong Luoyun's incomparably handsome appearance appeared in front of her eyes. Morning. Nangong Luoyun was full of smiles as he greeted her. So early in the morning he seemed to be in a good mood. How do you feel? Su Luo asked, full of concern. Seeing Su Luo's first sentence was to ask about his injury, Nangong Luoyun was as happy as a kid who got some candy. With one move he pulled Su Luo, held her under his body and he nimbly flipped over to be above her. Nangong Luoyun's deep eyes were half narrowed, the corner of his mouth hooking up demonically as he leisurely asked, "Do you want to personally confirm it?" How to confirm? Su Luo was pressed under his body. Both hands were inches from his body as she asked hesitantly. For example, do some exercise, huh? Nangong Luoyun's interest was very high. Boring. Su Luo humphed, directly pushing him away. If you are fine, then I'm going. Chapter 1547 Nangong's Victory 6. Who said I'm fine? Nangong Luoyun stubbornly pressed her under his body. Then what's wrong with you, little friend Nangong? Su Luo pursed her lips with a smile, stroking his soft hair. Right now, Nangong Luoyun acting shamelessly was really like a stubborn brat, making her angry and wanting to laugh at the same time. You don't feel, your man having won the competition, shouldn't you make a delicious meal to reward him? Nangong Luoyun had an expression of it being a matter of course. This seems a bit reasonable. Su Luo nodded. You don't think, your man having won the competition, shouldn't you personally make a set of clothing as a reward? Under Nangong Luoyun's thick eyelashes, his pupils blinked and shone, like a cute young boy pouting. This seems a bit difficult. Su Luo felt her head had become big. Other women all know how to do it. Nangong Luoyun stubbornly requested, but I'm not other women. Su Luo gloomily scratched her head. She didn't even know how to hold an embroidery needle, how to make clothes. It's more like the clothes mocking her than just an embroidered pouch. Nangong Luoyun held the embroidered pouch at the head of the bed. Su Luo gloomily said, You are a person that has a space ring, okay? What do you need an embroidered pouch, this kind of thing for? In any case, I want one. Nangong Luoyun pursed his lips seriously and earnestly said, Moreover, it must be one you personally made. Su Luo wanted to cry but lacked the tears, wanted to coax him like coaxing a child. Then a little later, okay? Not good, you must finish making it in 3 days. Su Luo speechlessly glared at him. He actually had a time limit for this request. Okay, I know. Su Luo, with one roll, climbed up. After tidying up her clothing, walked out acting as if nothing happened. After finally getting outside, Su Luo saw Ziyan. All of a sudden, her eyes flashed and she grabbed Ziyan and asked in a low voice, Recently, is there some good day? There isn't. Ziyan shook her head. Suddenly, it seemed as if she thought of something and chuckled out loud. If you want to say, there really is. What? Su Luo curiously blinked her eyes. Your Eastern Ling seems to have 100 Flowers Festival. What Ziyan remembered wasn't that clear, Only after a while did she recall. I heard that at the moment when the moon is highest and people embrace and kiss under the 100-flower tree and give each other keepsakes that each had personally made, then this pair of male and female will receive blessing from the god of matchmaking, and be together forever and ever. Won't be separated for 3 lifetimes and 3 rebirths. 100 Flowers Festival. When is it? Su Luo blinked her eyes. In 3 days' time. Ziyan smiled. Sure enough. Su Luo laughed mischievously in her heart. Chapter 1548. Nangong's Victory 7. When Su Luo arrived, Grandmaster Rong Yun was just holding a book, casually flipping through its pages. Seeing Su Luo come over, he didn't even lift an eye and gave a faint snort. He also deliberately turned his face away. The black lines appeared on Su Luo's forehead. What was Master doing? Master. Su Luo dragged out the word, gathering close to Grandmaster Rong Yun's side. Humph. Grandmaster Rong Yun immersed himself in the book, as if there was something inside the book that deeply attracted him, making him unable to take his eyes off, so he didn't even lift his head. Su Luo quickly pondered this in her head, thinking deeply where she might have offended Venerable Master. But after much thought, she still hadn't a clue. Master. Su Luo weakly pulled at Master Rong Yun's sleeves. Grandmaster Rong Yun lifted up the teacup and calmly drank some tea, simply just ignoring Su Luo. Master, please look at me for better or worse. Don't you like to look at this face? Su Luo pushed her face closer to him. Her face was about 70% similar to Yan Hua's face. Just a glance, and you could almost take the fake for the real one. Yan Hua was deeply imprinted into Rong Yun's heart, the softest existence. Like this, how could Rong Yun still be angry? His slender as jade finger poked Su Luo in the forehead and darkly snorted twice. A woman's heart is with her husband. You this girl, humph humph. Now that you have a man, you don't even want this master. Master. Su Luo suddenly understood why Master was angry. With a sweet smile just like the sunflower blossom in summer on her face, she tried to get closer to him. Master, you sit and relax. Luo will make tea for you. Humph. Grandmaster Rong Yun's expression became a lot better. Su Luo busily personally boiled the water, sipped the tea, soaked the leaves, then personally poured a small cup. She placed the cup in front of Grandmaster Rong Yun, and smiled in a kissing-up manner to say, Master, please drink some tea. This tea Master can't afford to drink. Grandmaster Rong Yun didn't accept it. Why? Su Luo asked, puzzled. That foolish boy's leg illness this master can't cure. Grandmaster Rong Yun was what kind of character? Su Luo's eyebrow moved, and he could guess pretty close to what she was thinking. Why can't you cure it? Su Luo became anxious and hurriedly grabbed a stool, and sat by Grandmaster Rong Yun's side. Her expression was very serious. Why can't you cure it? Wasn't it said that only a Grandmaster rank apothecary could cure his leg's illness? Master is so awesome. Why can't you cure it? Su Luo was in confusion from being concerned and tossed several questions in succession. Rong Yun's brows once again wrinkled. You are very worried? Su Luo nodded her head like a little puppy. How could she not be worried? That was the man she was set on. If you are concerned about it, then you should strive harder. Grandmaster Rong Yun arranged his sleeves and calmly floated out a sentence. Only when you yourself get promoted to Grandmaster level, then he can be saved. Why? Su Luo couldn't accept it and stood up. Clearly Master can cure him. Why won't you cure him? Master clearly knows I'm only an elite apothecary at this time. Afterwards, I still need to be promoted to Master Apothecary. Even if my luck is good and I get promoted to Master Apothecary, there is still Grandmaster Apothecary. This doorstep I need to enter. It's not like Master doesn't know. Old Man Luo cultivated for a full 100 years, and doesn't have a way to step over this gap. Can it be that Master believes I can be promoted within just a few short years? Su Luo became anxious, and her words were like artillery shells, pitter-patter shooting out. Grandmaster Rong Yun determinedly looked at her. Eyes pitch black as black jade with a mysterious expression, complicated and distinguished. But Su Luo didn't back down as she met his gaze. Her deep gaze that met his didn't have any meaning of shrinking back. Chapter 1549. Nangong's victory. 8. Master and her. Their temper had always been crabby. None of them spoke first. Both determinedly stared at each other. Grandmaster Rong Yun's expression was still as calm as before, but Su Luo was grasping coarsely, showing her mood was stirred up. It was after a long time had passed, when Grandmaster Rong Yun slapped the back of Su Luo's head. "You, this bad temper, is exactly the same as your mother's." Su Luo, seeing Grandmaster Rong Yun spoke first, knew she had won. So she smiled and said, "Master, don't you particularly like my mother's temper?" Grandmaster Rong Yun rolled his eyes at her. How could he like Yanhua for her temper only? All of Yanhua, including the silken strands of her hair, he loved it all very much. But these words were not suitable to explain to Su Luo, so he just remained silent. Grandmaster Rong Yun muttered irresolutely to himself for a while before explaining to Su Luo. "Do you know what kind of poison that boy is suffering from?" "Which poison?" Su Luo's expression was puzzled. "Cold poison." Grandmaster Rong Yun calmly replied. "Moreover, it comes from the coldness of a male's cold poison. There is no medicine in the world to solve this poison." Only what?" Su Luo urgently asked. "Only." Grandmaster Rong Yun lowered his voice, and whispered a sentence by Su Luo's ear. Immediately after, he calmly picked up the teacup and carefully tasted the tea, as if it was the sweetest and most beautiful flavored tea in the world. Su Luo foolishly sat in place slowly. The complexion of her face became somewhat red. "Master, how could?" Su Luo said in disbelief. "How could there be this kind of treatment method?" Su Luo really felt it was hard to believe. "That boy is whose disciple?" Grandmaster, in a faint tone, asked. "The master of Purgatory City." Su Luo replied while at a loss. "You think based on Master of Purgatory City's strength and methods, why hasn't he been able to cure his disciple's illness?" Grandmaster Rong Yun again calmly asked. Su Luo suddenly seemed to have seen the light. "That's right, Based on the Master of Purgatory City's strength, how could he ignore his personal disciple's body having an unmentionable illness? But even now, Nangong Liuyun's body still had that unmentionable illness. What did this show? This showed that even the Master of Purgatory City had no way to deal with this illness. 10 years ago, Long Qingtian had brought him over to have a look by your master. Grandmaster Rong Yun's voice was indifferent, caught up among old memories. Although your master doesn't get along with Long Qingtian, this matter isn't about people. At that time, your master personally checked that boy's pulse and understood his illness. Su Luo's heart immediately understood. No wonder master didn't even have to look and knew Nangong Liuyun had leg illness. He also knew he couldn't cure it. So, it turned out that 10 years ago, master had tried to cure him. Su Luo opened her eyes wide, carefully listening to master speak about this story from the past. Grandmaster Rong Yun continued to say, "The cold poison in his body is very strange, as if sealing a berserk strength. Very frightening." "What?" Su Luo suddenly stood up. "Even master said that strength was frightening. Then that unknown strength in Nangong Liuyun's body, in the end, how frightening was it? Once the seal is removed, that foolish boy's leg illness won't be cured by medicine." Grandmaster Rong Yun's eyes were abstruse, as deeply profound as the ocean. "And to remove the seal on his body, there is only one way. That was what master has just told you. But when employing this method, you must be Grandmaster level apothecary, otherwise, you won't be able to endure it. You would die from your body exploding." Saying the later part, Grandmaster Rong Yun's gaze was very strict like millennium-old frost. "Therefore, the minute before you reach the Grandmaster level apothecary, you must guard well your body. Understand?" Chapter 1550. Talk about marriage. How to held the marriage. 1. Having heard master's words, 3 black lines appeared on Su Luo's forehead. "Master." These words were rather too explicit. Who knew that not only didn't Grandmaster Rong Yun's expression ease, on the contrary, his brows wrinkled even more tightly. "If it is before, it will only harm his body and not help him, understand?" A streak of scarlet flashed across Su Luo's face as she immediately nodded her head. This disciple knows. How could this kind of thing be said so clearly? Grandmaster Rongyan muttered to himself for a while before saying to Su Luo. The situation in the future might be far from good. If possible, you must quickly upgrade your fighting strength. Master? Su Luo blinked her eyes. She didn't understand some of Master's words, but in the wake of these words, Su Luo's heart had a bad premonition. She had a premonition that not far in the future, the entire world would get caught up in a reign of terror. Go. Grandmaster Rongyan clearly didn't want to say more. He waved his hand and made Su Luo leave. Su Luo bit her lower lips, hesitated for a while but still silently left. Master still didn't want to tell her all the facts. But at that time, Master clearly told Nangong Luyin but refused to tell her. It was because her strength was too weak, right? Su Luo lifted her head, a thread of firmness flashing through her eyes. She made a firm resolution to cultivate seriously. Watching Su Luo's leaving back, Grandmaster Rongyan smilingly shook his head as he sighed. Immediately, as if he thought of something, his expression gradually darkened. Right now, Grandmaster stood under the cherry blossom tree, full of the light pink petals floating down one after another. But not a speck of dust stained his pure and holy body. Don't know how long this kind of serenity would last, Grandmaster Rongyan sighed. Su Luo returned to Southern Mountains. Today, the Southern Mountain didn't look very peaceful. Outside the wall, several luxurious horse carriages could be heard. Seeing this show of extravagance, it was certainly because someone came from the palace. Before Su Luo could react, she saw an eunuch with a horse whisker rod and a smiling face as he ran towards Su Luo. Princess, you finally returned. This insignificant person has waited for you for a long time. Su Luo unhurriedly swept him a glance. Princess? If someone from Prince Jin's manor was to call her this, then it's nothing. But coming from this eunuch's mouth was quite interesting. If she didn't remember wrongly, this was the most favored eunuch Lin by Emperor Jing's side. Princess, His Majesty asked to see you. You see. The normally arrogant eunuch Lin very carefully accompanied this with a smile. His Majesty asked to see me? Su Luo unhurriedly walked into the great hall while eunuch Lin almost had to run to follow behind Su Luo. He had lived for 50 years and was hunchbacked at the waist, like a little eunuch who had just entered the palace. His Highness Prince Jin and Princess made it to the first two places. His Majesty is very happy, since earlier, he had ordered the imperial kitchen to prepare a feast. Ask His Highness Prince Jin and Princess to do me the honor to go. Eunuch Lin's voice was very careful, afraid of angering Su Luo, to make her unhappy. Su Luo carelessly took a look at him. She remembered that 2 years ago, when she entered the palace, this old eunuch actually slanted a glance at her, refusing to look straight at her. He had his nose up and refused to acknowledge her, full of disdain and despising her. But a mere 2 years, his attitude had really changed quickly. Su Luo gave a humph and didn't speak. She lifted her head and entered the great hall. Inside the great hall, Nangong Luyin was sitting, leisurely drinking tea. Seeing Su Luo return, his handsome face blossomed into a brilliant smile. But his smile was very stingy, was only given to Su Luo her alone. So when he saw eunuch Lin following behind Su Luo, his face seemed to be immediately enveloped by frost. He coldly humphed in annoyance. Chapter 1551. Talk about marriage, how to hold the marriage too. Now Nangong Luyin had what kind of cultivation, ah? He only faintly humphed, and eunuch Lin felt as if his whole body had fallen into an ice house. He almost suffocated from this. Jin, Your Highness Prince Jin. Eunuch Lin's both legs bent, directly kneeling down. Because eunuch Lin had followed Emperor Jing since he was a youth, the two people's affections was not ordinary. As a result, eunuch Lin normally could strut about. The concubines in the harem competed to curry favor with him, and held him up high. However, this time, eunuch Lin had no choice but to lower his arrogant head, because his fear of His Highness Prince Jin came completely from within his body. Nangong Luyin held Su Luo by the hand and pulled her to sit on the side, as he tenderly stroked her hand. Where are you going so early in the morning? I couldn't even find you. This tone was so tender that water could be wrung out from it. Eunuch Lin on the side very much envied this. Went to Master's place. Su Luo recalled Master's words, her eyes flashing. She cast a glance at Nangong Luoyan. Went to find Master to ask about some matters. What matters? Nangong Luoyan hugged her gently. Matters concerning you. With outsiders present, Su Luo had no plans to say it in detail. Nangong Luoyan also became aware of Eunuch Lin's existence. His face darkened as he swept him a glance. Get lost. Eunuch Lin was very frustrated in his heart. Even Emperor Jing wasn't ever this rude to him. His Highness Prince Jin really didn't give him a bit of face. Eunuch Lin recalled Emperor Jing's instructions and summoned his courage to start talking. His Majesty has an imperial decree, asking Your Highness Prince Jin and Princess Jin to enter the palace for the banquet. Princess Jin. Nangong Luoyan was rather moved by this address. He grabbed Su Luo's hand. I have completed most of your master's requests. Choose an auspicious day and let's get married. Su Luo's pitch-black, clear and lustrous eyes looked at him as she blinked them. What? Could it be you want to go back on your promise? Nangong Luoyan heavily gripped her hand. Who is going back on the promise? Only now. It's not the time to get married. Su Luo gloomily frowned. Why? Nangong Luoyan's tender appearance, in an instant, condensed into frost. His grip on Su Luo's hand strengthened. This strength made Su Luo's brows tighten even more. In any case, getting married, we still can't. Faced with Nangong Luoyan's pair of clear, monochrome and large eyes, Su Luo couldn't continue with what she was saying. She could only conclude the unfinished sentence. In brief, we can't get married now. Afraid Nangong Luoyan would continue to question this, Su Luo hurriedly changed the subject. Her eyes stared at Eunuch Lin. Did His Majesty set up a dinner banquet? That's right, that's right. Replying back to Princess Jin, it's a dinner banquet. Eunuch Lin, seeing he had a chance, hurriedly nodded to say, then that's fine, let's go now. It's already pretty late. Su Luo pulled Nangong Luoyan up. Seeing his face was still overcast, being powerful without being angry, she said a few words by his ear in a low voice. Wait until we return, I'll give you a reasonable explanation, okay? Nangong Luoyan's pair of eyes seemed to shoot flames as he glared at Su Luo. Seeing her expression was normal, he nodded temporarily, letting her go. Su Luo originally wanted to go see Emperor Jing, but just now, Master's words had moved her. Master said, situations in the near future will be far from good. If possible, she should do her utmost to promote her fighting strength. Su Luo had a lot of heavenly material, earthly treasures and cultivation technique books. But with regards to Eastern Ling Empire, if circumstances became bad, if Emperor Jing didn't make her feel nauseated as before, she wouldn't mind helping him. Because no matter what, Eastern Ling was Nangong Luoyan's roots. She didn't wish at that time. They wouldn't even have a homeland. Of course, if Emperor Jing was still as confused as before, Su Luo naturally wouldn't give him those good stuff. Chapter 1552. Talk about marriage, how to hold the marriage. 3. Imperial Palace. Emperor Jing had both hands linked behind his back, as he impatiently walked back and forth in the palace. His heart was very happy but was also somewhat a mess. He never expected that Su Luo really was able to enter the top 2 in one stroke. This time, the top 2 both came from Eastern Ling. Then in the future, among the 4 nations, wouldn't Eastern Ling be in the top position? Thinking of this, Emperor Jing was naturally very happy. He was very glad that at that time, he didn't change out Su Luo. But recalling the way he treated Su Luo before, Emperor Jing once again wilted. Don't know if that girl would hold a grudge or not. If she held a grudge, then this matter would be difficult to complete. As a result, Emperor Jing waited for Nangong Luoyan and Su Luo's arrival under the torment of these messy thoughts. Time passed slowly, but the people he was waiting for still hadn't arrived. A fine sheen of sweat started to appear on Emperor Jing's forehead. If nothing worked, then. Just at this moment, Eunuch Lin's sharp but high-spirited voice sounded. His Highness Prince Jin arrived. Her Highness Princess Jin arrived. She hadn't even been married through the door and her title was already decided upon. This was specifically instructed by Emperor Jing. Heaven knows how much in demand was this Su Luo. The rest of the 9 great powers, which family didn't want to marry this girl through the door? Not mentioning Grandmaster Rongyan protecting and escorting behind her, just based on her own strength and the identity of an apothecary, was enough to have the people begging to marry her flock around her. Hearing the voice coming from the palace gates, how could Emperor Jing still be as pretentious as before? His face right now was piled full of smiles, as he went to welcome them, full of warmth, going to the gate to meet them. Seeing Emperor Jing personally come out, Su Luo and Nangong Luoyan exchanged a glance. A trace of surprise flashed through Su Luo's eyes, but Nangong Luoyan's expression remained the same as always. As if this was right, he seemed to think it ought to be like this. You guys came? Let Father Emperor wait for quite a while. Emperor Jing laughed repeatedly. He turned his head and familiarly said to Su Luo, Luo girl is really amazing. Didn't expect you could enter the top 2. This has never happened in the record of the entire world. The corner of Su Luo's mouth hooked into a faint smile. If at that time, her mother participated in this roaming dragon list, how could that guy steal away her title as number 1? Therefore, Emperor Jing's words were still exaggerated. But Emperor Jing could change his way of thinking and not meddle between her and Nangong Luoyan. This was already pretty good. In the end, he was Nangong Luoyan's biological father. Su Luo also didn't want Nangong Luoyan to have a thorough falling out with him. Su Luo smiled faintly. Your Majesty praised wrongly. How could I have praised wrongly? You are even more amazing than the legends said. Mentioning this, Grandmaster Rongyan's gaze is still the most accurate. Even Luoyan's vision is better than this father's. He had seen through you, this pearl covered in dust since earlier. Haha. Emperor Jing kept ha-ha-ha-ing as if he was wiping clean all the things he did before. Su Luo had a ghost of a smile as she raised an eyebrow. Today, Emperor Jing's behavior was outside of her expectations. His face was really thick, able to give or take. Seeing Su Luo's expression was indifferent, unconcerned, Emperor Jing once again accompanied with a smile, loudly reprimanding Su Manor. This Su Zian really has some eyes that can't even see the pearl. Such a good daughter, he forcibly drove away. Luo girl, you don't need to be afraid, with Father Emperor supporting you. You don't have to worry about Su Manor over there. Hearing these words, a faint smiling expression flashed through Su Luo's eyes. Emperor Jing was really too interesting. Before, he was itching to separate her and Nangong Luoyan as far as possible. Now he continuously called himself Father Emperor, wishing to draw up the name officially as soon as possible. Chapter 1553. Talk about marriage. How to hold the marriage for Father Emperor? Su Luo's rightfully cold gaze swept towards Emperor Jing. A trace of inquiry was in the depths of her eyes. Emperor Jing rubbed his hand and laughed with a ha-ha. Very quickly, I'm going to be your father, right? Since you won't recognize Su Manor, then we won't recognize them. While your master is here, you and Nangong should pick a good day to get married. Nangong Luoyan had always taken Emperor Jing's words as farts, but these words went according to his intentions. As a result, he even nodded as if taking everything very seriously. Su Luo unhappily sent him a glare, immediately after, saying to Emperor Jing, the matter of getting married is not urgent. What? Emperor Jing became more anxious after hearing this. Originally, he really wasn't anxious, even to the point of wanting to break them up. But now, the 10 great families had gathered together. Those old family elders looked at Su Luo with eyes shining with light. That meaning clearly was to snatch her home as a daughter-in-law or granddaughter-in-law, okay? Su Luo waved her hand. This matter, let's discuss it later. Discuss it later? No way. Emperor Jing's gaze looked towards Nangong Luoyan. Although his son was very outstanding, but there were plenty of outstanding young masters in this roaming dragon list competition. Like Luo Haoming, Liao Chen, Anya Xian, and none of them was married, okay? Su Luo thought about it and still sighed. Marriage this matter. It's best that your majesty talk directly with my master. Emperor Jing, hearing this, his expression became more worried. Could it be that in this matter, there would be an unforeseen change? Su Luo thought a bit, then took an egg that was about the size of a soccer ball from her space, and placed it in Emperor Jing's lap. Have you seen this before? This is. Emperor Jing carelessly swept a glance at it. However, the next second, his entire person seemed to be in shock. This is a vulture egg. Emperor Jing was so excited that his face turned red. Could be considered a little knowledgeable, Su Luo secretly said in her heart. But seeing Emperor Jing's excited appearance, the hand she was using to fish around in her space stopped. Immediately, she smiled, then took out another one and placed it on the ground. How can you put it on the ground? Ah! Emperor Jing grumbled and hurriedly picked it up. This was a vulture egg. Ah! Heaven knows how much a vulture egg was worth. It was simply a high price, but no market to buy it. Ah! Because the vulture that came out of a vulture egg, after growing up, would be a flying magical beast. If you must know, if Eastern Ling was to have flying magical beast, and the other 3 countries didn't have it, then wouldn't the other 3 countries be stunned? Flying magical beasts were very difficult to catch. Even if you caught one, it was still very difficult to domesticate. Therefore, besides one golden crane in Eastern Jing royal family, there was no other flying magical beasts. But now Su Luo took out one, then in passing, took out a second one. Emperor Jing, with one vulture egg in his right hand and another in his left hand, the muscles in his 2 cheeks trembled excitedly. But it looked as if Su Luo was performing a magical trick. After it was another one, then another one. Watching this, Emperor Jing became completely stupefied. These are all. Emperor Jing stammeringly stared at Su Luo, both eyes giving off green lights of greed. This girl was rather too generous. Ah! Every one of these vulture eggs would be invaluable if brought to a market. But stored with her, they were simply like watermelons. Casually she could fish one out. Emperor Jing used an unprecedented admiring gaze, looking at Su Luo with sincerity. Su Luo stopped taking them out after fishing 10 out, with both hands spread out to say, "For the time being, just this much." Emperor Jing looked at the ground full of vulture eggs, his eyes almost dizzy. Su Luo said that for the time being, it'll be this much. What did these words mean? It meant she still had more. These 10 eggs weren't all the ones in her hand. Chapter 1554. Talk about marriage, how to hold the marriage. 5. Only Grandmaster Rong Yun would be so generous as to be able to take out 10 vulture eggs all at once. Thinking up to here, Emperor Jing was even more firm in his plan to get Su Luo married through the door to Nangong Luyan as soon as possible. As for his original choice of Li Yaoyao, from the moment her cultivation was wasted, Emperor Jing had already tossed her far to the back of his mind long ago. Su Luo smiled faintly. First, take these vulture eggs and hatch them. If you can tame them, then at that time, there will be more. Su Luo promised. At that time, they gathered a lot, and there was still Li Yaoyao's that was also in her space. Large and small, nearly several hundreds. These 10 vulture eggs were merely a drop in the ocean. Moreover, placing them there really took up too much space. Su Luo tossed it to Emperor Jing as if discarding scrap material, while Emperor Jing wanted to enshrine and worship Su Luo. This matter had been completed. Nangong Luyan stood up and pulled Su Luo up to leave. But Emperor Jing called them to a stop. The banquet is already prepared. You guys. His son and future daughter-in-law really made him proud. Emperor Jing naturally wanted to show them off. So this time he invited a lot of people, including people from the 10 powerful families. But Nangong Liuyun's gaze was like cold frost, sweeping a gloomy glance at Emperor Jing. You can enjoy it by yourself. Afterwards, he pulled Su Luo along and was about to leave. But before he could leave, a burst of jumbled sounds of footsteps could be heard coming from outside. Su Luo's brows started to pucker up slightly, because just based on the sound of the footsteps, she had recognized who it was. The Crown Prince Nangong Liujue's figure appeared at the door. At the Crown Prince's side was the Empress's dignified and solemn face. The Empress saw Su Luo and Lu Yun. Her indifferent expression, with great difficulty, squeezed out a smile. The time for the banquet is almost here. The guests have already arrived. How about just this? The Empress clenched her teeth, looking at the two people in front of her. These days' competition, the Empress had secretly watched everything very closely. Every time, she would make heavy bets, betting Su Luo and Nangong Luoyuan would lose. After this series of competitions completed, the Empress lost nearly all her family fortune. Now seeing the two people, naturally, the new hatred and old hatred all rushed up. The Crown Prince's gaze burned as he stared at Su Luo. His heart had a mixture of all the flavors and was extremely painful. 2 years ago, she was the girl he discarded and ruined. Now, she had grown to the stage that he had to kneel and look up to. Once he was the sky and she was the weeds. Now, she was the sky and he had been reduced to the weeds at the side of her foot that she was too disdainful to even step on. Such a large gap, that the Crown Prince almost couldn't return to his senses. His pair of eyes burned with light, unblinkingly staring at Su Luo. Nangong Luoyuan walked to in front of Su Luo, blocking the Crown Prince's gaze that was shooting light in all directions. He coldly cast a glance at the mother and son pair. Soon after, he pulled Su Luo along and left. He wanted to go. Who dared to block him? The Empress and the Crown Prince had thought to stop them, but Nangong Luoyuan's pair of pitch-black eyes shot over a glance. Immediately, the mother and son pair became peaceful. Seeing the backs of their leaving figures, the Crown Prince had a very complicated expression in the depths of his eyes. He heavily slapped his own head. Jur, what are you doing? The Empress, with one grab, stopped the hand Nangong Luoyuan used to slap his own head. This child didn't know the degree of seriousness, one palm slapping down. If it was a bit heavier, his brain would have been cracked open by his slap. Mother Empress. Nangong Luoyuan's face was full of despair and sorrow. His smile had a thick mockery. Mother Empress, once, I actually fought over things with such a strong expert and used all kind of crafty plots, machinations against him. You say, am I foolish or not? Now thinking about it, indeed he was thoroughly foolish. The Empress tragically shook her head. Mother Empress is more foolish than you. Actually thought you could overtake him. This really was the most laughable jest in the whole world. Chapter 1555. Talk about marriage, how to hold the marriage. 6. However, inside this imperial palace, the family of three mutually sighed with sorrow. Speaking of Nangong Luoyuan, he pulled Su Luo to quickly leave the imperial palace. Angry. When Nangong Luoyuan carried Su Luo to sit on the legendary 100 Flowers tree, Su Luo couldn't help but ask. Nangong Luoyuan's thin red lips were pursed into a white line. He unhappily turned his head away, pretending Su Luo was just air. Su Luo felt he was infuriating and ridiculous at the same time. Why did Nangong Luoyuan look like an unhappy child? It's not that I won't promise, it's that master won't allow it. Su Luo spread out her hands, extremely helpless. Is your master more important, or am I more important? Nangong Luoyuan's stuffy tone could be heard. You are naturally more important. Su Luo replied without the slightest hesitation. Hearing this on-the-dot answer, the dense gloomy aura in Nangong Luoyuan's heart dissipated somewhat, but didn't completely disperse. He swept a faint glance at Su Luo, then indifferently looked into the distance as he slowly said, Then why would you rather listen to his words? Su Luo recalled the answer master gave, and her heart was extremely awkward. But in the end, she still said it to Nangong Luoyuan. Nangong Luoyuan gave a light cough. A thread of blush from embarrassment flashed across his face. You actually blushed. It's as if Su Luo had discovered a new world. She was endlessly delighted. Nangong Luoyuan glared at her with hidden bitterness. According to your master's words, then how long will I have to wait? Wait until I am at Grandmaster level apothecary. Su Luo stuck out her tongue. She also felt that this request proposed by master was too abnormal. Grandmaster level Apo, the carry. The veins exploded out on Nangong Luoyuan's forehead. He grabbed Su Luo's shoulders. Su Luo weakly lowered her head, not daring to look Nangong Luoyuan in the face. Then how long will it take? Nangong Luoyuan was forcefully insisting on a time limit. Don't know. Su Luo really didn't know. 3 years. Nangong Luoyuan's tone was overcast and cold as ice. as he firmly and persistently said, 3 years' time. This is my bottom line. 3 years. Su Luo lifted her head to look towards the sky. In her heart, she silently howled in grief. 3 years' time from elite apothecary to master apothecary. After, to get promoted again to grandmaster apothecary? How was this possible? If you must know, Elder Luo was trapped within the master-level apothecary for a whole 100 years. In this entire world, now there was only master, this grandmaster-level apothecary. Did Nangong Luyan think that being promoted to grandmaster-level apothecary was as easy as eating food and drinking water? Su Luo used a criticizing gaze to glare at Nangong Luyan. But the latter wouldn't allow any disagreement, glaring at her very fiercely. 3 years, if you still haven't cultivated to that rank, your daddy, won't care about the consequences, and we'll talk about it after doing you. Nangong Luyan had always been graceful and noble. Now, he was pressed by Su Luo until he became anxious. He even exploded out with vulgar language. Su Luo knew this time, she really forced Nangong Luyan to his bottom line. Okay, 3 years, then it's 3 years. Su Luo nodded, agreeing to the promise. Time seemed to fly by, passing by very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the time for the last match had already arrived. Usually, the last match would be the most marvelous showdown between experts at the peak. But this time's roaming dragon list competition was completely the opposite. The last match, only 2 people remained. It was Su Luo and Nangong Luyan. The two just so happened to be world-famous, deeply in love sweethearts. Could they still hope that they would have a life-or-death showdown? But everyone was curious about just what kind of conclusion it would have, bringing this match to an end. Therefore, all the spectator seats were still full of people. Each and every one of them whispered and discussed this spiritedly. Chapter 1556. Talk about marriage, how to hold the marriage. 7. But everyone waited on, and still those 2 people didn't come. The time to start the competition was about to arrive. Could it be these 2 people? Were both going to be late? Just when everyone's heart was restless like ants, 2 figures leisurely arrived. The man had black hair that draped over his shoulders and a face handsome as a god. The woman was an exceptional otherworldly beauty. Icy, distinct jade-like bones were similar to an immortal fairy from heaven that came to the mortal world. Now, hand in hand, they slowly descended onto the battle stage. Finally came. The spectators all exhaled at the same time. They thought both of them would be late. The match officially begins. In the wake of this announcement, the stick of incense burned out completely. The referee announced the beginning of the match. The first place of this match, after the match, will get a chance to get 1 more elemental attribute, while the second place winner got nothing. But the 2 people on the stage, these 2 people actually smiled at each other, immediately speaking in unison. I forfeit. Suddenly, the audience became absolutely silent. Everyone stood in silence, unable to speak. Su Luo forfeiting was understandable, but why on earth would His Highness Prince Jin also forfeit? He could defeat Su Luo with a wave of his hand, okay? He actually chose to forfeit? On the VIP seats, when the several elders heard this, they started to laugh. Interesting, very interesting. Elder Beichen stroked the several strands of goat beard on his chin, full of smiles, saying, These 2 people both forfeited. Brother Rong Yin, you say, what ought to be done? Grandmaster Rong Yin was the chief judge. Naturally, he had the final say. Elderly coldly humphed. Such a solemn occasion because of a love affair, to actually forfeit is simply ridiculous. Elder Luo also followed to agree with Elderly. The rest of the people also stood in either team. What does Brotherly feel ought to be done? Grandmaster Rong Yun's indifferent gaze swept towards Elderly. This person from Jade Lakesley family had deep hostility towards Nangong and Su Luo. This point, everyone present was very clear about. Elderly also didn't hesitate, cleanly and crisply expressing his thoughts. According to me, this forfeit is simply not a decision a strong expert should make. A strong expert should always press forward, rather die than to submit, rather than to forfeit. So, Grandmaster Rong Yun's tone was faint, his expression couldn't be seen. So this time's competition, there is no number one, only two number twos. Elderly issued a rousing call. If this was on a battlefield, in the front-line battle of life and death time, between human and mystic clan. When the great cause for humanity and personal feeling of love was placed together, there is a great possibility that Nangong Luyan will choose the personal feeling of love. You guys say, does this kind of person have the qualification to be a champion? Does he have the qualification to sit in that position? The several elders present had their brows furrowed. What Elderly said was not without reason. A man aspiring to travel and make his mark, caring excessively about feelings of love between a couple was the biggest restraint to his heart. So he couldn't do great things. Grandmaster Rong Yun's expression was apathetic and non-committal. Elderly saw Grandmaster Rong Yun still remain unmoved, and his eyes sank slightly. Elder Baichen gave a sneering laugh. He disdainfully looked at Elderly. I say, Oldly, it's not because you fear Nangong that boy, right? What did you say? Elderly became angry. Don't tell me it isn't. Nangong Luyan is a wind, water and lightning three-elemental mage. His age is still young, and was promoted to commander rank, fully deserving of being king among the new generation. If he was to get another element attribute, when all the elements are fused, his strength would be what kind of evildoer? It's not like you aren't clear about this, right? Not waiting for Elderly to retort, Elder Baichen coldly laughed. Jade Lakesley family has hatred towards Nangong Luyan and Su Luo. Everyone knows you don't want those two people's strength to increase. Everyone also knows, so you don't need to explain. Because to explain is to cover it up. To cover it up is tantamount to making up a story. You. Elderly pointed at Elder Baichen in a rage. He almost spit out a mouthful of blood from anger. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.